I'd like to call this meeting to order. Welcome to the meeting of the South Bay Union School District Board of Trustees. Today is Thursday, February 8th, 2024. As a courtesy to others, we ask that you silence your cell phones during the meeting. Your cooperation is appreciated. If you wish to address the Board of Trustees, the board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board on any item of interest to the public that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Either before or during the board's consideration of the item at a time so designated on the agenda as a regular meeting, members of the public may bring forth before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda. The board shall take no action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda except as authorized by law. So this is your chance to fill out a blue card. They're located in the back. At this time, we'll do roll call.
Ellsworth. Liker.
Here.
Lopez Aguino. Absent.
Absent.
Medina.
Here.
Quinones.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to welcome up principals from IB Charter and Berry Schools with student Ruben and Isis up to the up to the podium to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
I pledge allegiance
Oh.
to the flag. Oh,
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, for liberty and justice for all.
Hold on 1 second. One moment. They're gonna come up. Mom and Dad here. If parents are in the audience, please join with your child, your student, and we're going to take photos, real quick photos by the school's memory board there. Thank you, parents and students. Thank you, IB Charter and Berry Schools, for sending representatives from your school site. We appreciate that and the participation level. At this time, we're still waiting for our board members to finish up at the bulletin boards. At this time, we'll recognize Berry School Principal Joseph Procasio, who will give us a presentation on Berry School. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, trustees, superintendent,
Executive Board, community, thank you for coming. Do I do this? Yes, okay. Excellent. In honor of Black History Month, I wanted to open with this young poet, Miss Amanda Gorman. And so we lift our gazes not to what stands between us, but what stands before us. I challenged the Barry community this year with the phrase, let's be curious. We began this in July when I asked them if they ran into someone in a store or something and said, oh, I know a kid from Barry. What would you want them to say about that student? I also asked the parents and the students, what would you want them to say? These answers and discussion is becoming the foundation for the work that stands before us at Barry. For demographics, we have 334 students this year, 44 staff members. We're split right down the middle pretty much, 51% English language learners, 49% English only, and about 9% special education, which includes the district's SEAS program, which is Social Emotional Academic Support Program. This is not feudal England, so unfortunately having the largest property does not really mean a whole lot, but Barry does cover a whole large area. There's a lot of ranch and farmlands down in the south end of our area. However, Barry is dealing with declining enrollment like many other schools are in our district. Oops. I know you have this data in front of you and you may have already reviewed it, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I will review it quickly. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. For chronic absenteeism, we're falling in the yellow, which means we have improved by declining. So we decline more than the state, and then we match the state at yellow. However, our percentage of chronically absent students is higher than the state. So while we are improving by declining, I heard a phrase once that said, even if you're on the right track, you're going to get run over if you just stand there. So we do have more work to do clearly with attendance. For suspension rate, we're in the orange, which is definitely where we do not want to be. So we did increase by 0.4%. It's a 1.1% suspension rate. Now it's easy to say, well, you have that SEAS program at Barry. It's those kids that are getting suspended, but that is not what the data suggests. As you can see, students with disabilities declined in their suspension rate. So it's other subgroups at Barry. So we want to take a look at that, but it's also important to understand at 1.1% out of 334 students, that's about 3 or 4 students. So again, we're not looking at massive numbers of suspensions at Barry. However, our MTSS structures for behavior must be put into place to support the positive behavior at Barry and address students not meeting expectations. We have to work as a team to find alternatives to suspension, regardless of what the numbers say, because really one suspension is one too many. As far as English language arts results, we're firmly in the yellow with maintaining students or increasing students in all areas. We increased by about 4.5% overall. Teachers have been focusing on English language arts over the past couple of years at Barry. This year we switched to a math focus, which we'll talk about in a second. So maintaining is good, increasing a little bit is good, but we still have some work to do with English language arts to keep continuing to increase. Math, we're very excited about. We grew significantly in math in all areas. English learners also increased. To be honest, we were a little surprised as we were focused on English language arts growth, but we had about 11% increase in our math. As you can see, an 18.8 point increase was really, really good growth in math. So last year we had decided based on our scores to focus on math this current year. So we're actually excited to kind of see maybe we can push some subgroups into green and blue next year if we get an equal number growth. Here's where we're really excited. We hit the blue category and anything in blue is fantastic. So our English language learner progress at Barry is in the blue. So not only did they perform well, they also increased significantly from one year to the next. We have an extremely dedicated team that focuses a lot on our English language learners. Yesterday at our team meeting, one of our focus was like, hey, this is great. How did we do it? So we started having some discussions about what did we do? Let's continue. And how do we do that in English language arts, math, and science? For our site plan goals, goal number 1, ensuring academic excellence. Again, I said we focused on math problem solving this year as a focus. A small group of teachers participated with the San Diego County office in a MTSS collaborative. That's multi-tiered system of supports. It mainly focused on the academic side of MTSS. They help the teachers learn how to develop high quality tasks. And those tasks help students develop thinking skills, collaboration skills, and creativity. Again, on the downside, our MTSS behavior side of that system really still needs some attention. As a site principal, I still need to make sure I'm balancing how many initiatives we're doing at one time so we could truly focus and grow in one area. And this year we decided to really focus on those academic growths. We had 2 general education IAs that supported teachers and students small group instruction, tutoring after school with several teachers, and our impact teacher schedule supported after school tutoring as well. And we focused on number talks and math objectives. And number talks is really getting the kids talking about numbers and math and talking about what they're learning and working collaboratively. Some of the staff members, team members, and I have discussed having maybe collaborative conversations be a sole focus next year, getting the kids talking about what they're learning. In addition, our 4th grade teacher, Ms. Vinland, and our 4-5 combo teacher, Ms. Mackay, took our classes to the Linda Vista Innovation Center. If you're not familiar with that, the county office has opened up a STEM center. It's an area for students to explore careers in science, technology, engineering, and math. Research is showing that our traditionally, historically underserved populations and our females are not getting exposed to science, technology, engineering, and math. So this partnership that we're building with San Diego County is going to be a really extraordinary partnership for our students at Berry. Again, we have an activity on the site plan called our own STEM space. It is not open yet, so it's something we still need to work on this year. My goal is to work on it over spring break. I'm going to be the principal, and it's at Berry, so I might have some time there to work. On the bright side, though, however, we found out we have over 300 students enrolled for our spring intersession, which is absolutely fantastic at Berry. So I may not have any time to work on our STEM, but that is a goal to at least get level 1, phase 1 open of our STEM space before the end of the year begins. For goal 2, it's based on our data and our site plan. One of the things that was a big focus at Berry was increasing student voice. And for this, I would like to welcome back Berry's Student Council President, Mr. Ruben Hernandez Santos.
Good evening again. My name is Ruben Hernandez Santos, and I am the Student Council President this year. Thank you for allowing me to be here and share about my school. I'm going to share with you how Berry has worked to increase student voice and increase student opportunities to participate in decisions that happen on our campus this year. There are several ways Berry has improved in this area this year. First of all, having a student council. In 22-23, we did not have a student council. This year, it was a priority, and we have representation in all grades, 3rd grade through 6th. We have already had several events that have been designed and run by student council. For example, a popcorn day at lunch, Spirit Weeks, and we led a student-run school-wide winter performance. We also have plans in place for many other events this school year. Another way Berry has gotten students involved in this is the Berry Bear Crew. This is a group of students that may not want to do things like perform on stage or be on student council, but they want to contribute to the school. The crew helps set up events, do special cleanup projects, and are the helping hands at Berry. They were an important part in setting our very successful Fall Festival and our 2nd annual Zombie Fun Run. Those events would not have been successful without our Berry Bear Crew. Lastly, Berry students have participated in street data activities. Street data is a way for adults at the school to directly listen to the thoughts, ideas, and concerns of the students. The student council participated in a group fishbowl activity, and the Berry team has already done over 35 empathy interviews. The teachers are all scheduled to do empathy interviews with at least 2 students by the end of February as well. Berry has worked hard during the 23-24 school year to increase student voice on campus, and as a sixth grader who has been at Berry for a long time, I've seen changes personally, and I am happy to say that the school has been a safer and fun place for students. It is an honor to represent my school here tonight. Thank you, and please welcome Mr. P.
Excellent. Great job, Ruben. Proud of you. Other ways in goal 2 for advancing equity and inclusion, we had a fantastic Hispanic Heritage Month, which included a fantastic assembly, and several parents participated in helping decorate our stage. We had a donut day with the military. It was a small crew, but it was a start, and we were excited to offer that opportunity for our families. We changed our ELD master calendar to have the entire school do English language development classes at the same time, which kind of allows for all of our human resources to support that all at once for our English language learners. And we had some introductory conversations with some of our parents about a meeting or a committee called BLAC, which is a Black Learners Advisory Committee, which is kind of in its infancy right now at Berry. As far as nurturing a safe and welcoming environment has been a top priority my whole career. I had a professor in my undergrad once say, make your classroom a place where kids want to be, and that will solve most of your problems for you. That has stuck with me through my career, and Berry is working hard to be a campus where all people want to be, and that includes students, team, and parents and community. As far as students go, we continue our Rise Up initiative and expectations for everyone. We do weekly drawings now in classrooms. It's tied to our attendance. It's tied to our responsibility, integrity, safety, and empathy. If kids get a ticket for showing those expectations, each week they get prizes out of their classroom, and we kind of have fun with that, along with some other attendance incentives. We've had some painting upgrades, as you can see. Thank you to the facilities that painted the outside of our school. We also added kind of a little banner in our library there that says Bears Rise Up, which really kind of brightens up our entire middle courtyard of our school, which is kind of exciting, kind of has that college vibe to it with the kind of logo there. As far as team goes, there's a picture there. Our school culture and social committee has done a great job of getting our team together for lunches and potlucks and whatnot. That is a picture from a holiday party. Last year, there was no holiday party. This year, we had over 40 people show up to our holiday party, spouses. We had a really good time. So we're really working on that welcoming and safe and fun culture for teachers as well. We cleaned and organized our resource room, created a new workroom. Again, I'm a firm believer that if you make teachers' jobs easier, they can spend more time working with students. So we prioritized having a space where they can work efficiently. We pulled out combo teachers so that they could have planning with our TOSAs. One challenge in this area is we had like grade level release time budgeted in. We don't really have grade levels at Berry. There's not multiple grades of any grade. So we don't have 3 third graders that can all work together. We don't have 4 6th grade classes. So that's a challenge to look for. And we now kind of adjust our budget. We do have groups at Berry that want to work together, like that MTSS group. So we may rework that in next year's site plan. And we also encourage teachers to reach out to other schools, like we were working with Emory, to have those 6th graders teachers work with our 6th grade teachers and do a little bit of more planning that way. As far as our parents go, we had an exponential growth in our family and community involvement this year. Our parent liaison, Miss Coco, who's right back there, is extraordinary. She does a fantastic job, as well as our PTA and quote unquote do it all president, Miss Stephanie, are really tireless in trying to encourage our parent involvement at Berry. Our fall festival was one of the most successful in a long time. The winter performance was packed. Our 2nd annual Zombie Fun Run was an extraordinary success for our 6th graders. And we opened a new Berry Bear community and parent engagement room, which we call our Berry Bear Den. These are just the beginnings of some of our vision for our community involvement at Berry. I want to end where we started with Miss Amanda Gorman, for there is always light if we are only brave enough to see it, if we're only brave enough to be it. Berry is a light for many families in our community, and we also have a lot of work to do. Both of these things can be true. So Berry will continue to lift our gaze to what stands before us. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, everybody go, wow. Wow. from last year to this year. Tremendous amount of work, tremendous achievement. I could go on, but I'm going to open the floor up to our trustees. Kelly?
No, you can go on.
I got a list here, but I'll wait.
Thank you for all the amazing photos. I felt like we really got a good idea of all the wonderful things that are happening at Berry and the sense of community and belonging, which is huge. You know, like you said, just having a place where students want to be and families want to be is the first part and the first key. And I love how Ruben came up and shared what he's doing. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ruben.
Our team is really working hard this year on building that community.
I have a technical question.
Uh-oh.
Ruben was mentioning empathy interviews.
Mhm.
Could you describe one?
Yeah,
please?
absolutely. I know Ms. Flores and Ms. Chavez shared a little bit about what street data is, so I'll start with that. But basically, schools used to look at data, right? We used to look at test scores all the time, and that's a way at looking at schools from way up high, right? Oh, that must be true because that's what the test scores say. You know, and there's different levels, local measures and whatnot kind of brings that data down. Street level data is when you actually are talking to your parents and talking to your students and saying, tell us about your school. Tell us what's going well. Tell us what challenges you have at school. Just asking questions and eliciting that response from students or parents right at the level in your school, and then using that data to make changes. So talking to the students about, hey, what do you feel safe at school? Tell me a little bit about that, because they're the ones that are really going to tell you what's going on. Or we had a fishbowl with parents and we sat there and we listened and what's going well and where can we still improve and what can we do? And then with all that data, we compile all that and review that as a team. So empathy interviews are basically just a one-on-one form of that. So teachers can pick a couple students. We kind of are targeting some of our attendance challenge students and just building a relationship with a student. Not only that, each adult that's doing this, you're asking them questions. Hey, what's going on? Is everything okay with you? What's up? So you're building that relationship, but you're also collecting data. So if every teacher, 11, 12 teachers on campus all do 2 or 3 empathy interviews, it brings us a lot of data. And if we collect all that and it says, wow, 17 kids all said that X is true, we need to do something about that. So that's what an empathy interview would be. It's just a one-on-one 10 or 15-minute conversation with the student. You're welcome.
I appreciate your presentation and I appreciate you having your students come up to us and speak to us. Also, looking at your dashboards, seeing some in blue, some getting to it, and I really appreciate you bringing all that data forward to us. Thank you for being here tonight.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Again, wow. I grew up around the corner, but I went to Emory because Berry did not exist. I think it was a cow pasture back then. Okay. And it's exciting that that new housing development will be complete, I believe, in 25. So I'm really interested in who's going to move there and hope that enrollment will increase. I'll be standing with a sign out there. Okay. So I'm not kidding. I really like this last page here. I did watch Amanda give her poem at the inauguration for our president. For there is always light. If only we were brave enough to see it. You are brave. Your team is brave. You have a vision. And you've shared it with the board. I want you to know that I feel it. There is light. If only we were brave enough. You are brave to be it. This so resonates with me because our little school district does. And this is evidence that compared to last year and this year, you've moved mountains. The intercession program, that's almost your whole enrollment. Amazing. Okay, amazing. I know the demographic group there that you're struggling with and what the struggles were last year compared to the amazing results. Amazing results, Barry. Okay. I'm so interested in the BLAC committee. I am so interested and I can't wait to hear more, Superintendent. Okay. We need those student voices and those families, and it looks like you are looking for that in that BLAC committee, and you're the first to bring forward to the board. So I'm really interested in that, Superintendent.
Oh, boy.
We need to
Sorry.
move that forward. The student council, thank you, Ruben. All student voices need to be heard. And this year, it seems like that your school is on the right track to making those voices heard. And it's evident by your attendance and the connection that you have not only with your team, but parents and students in the empathy interviews. And local data shows that those matters to parents, matters to students, that you, Mr. Principal, know each child. Okay, so that's evident in your report tonight. I just want to share that. Your social media is outstanding. I follow you and repost. So I get pieces of information all year long, and I appreciate that because not everyone can attend a festival or a gathering or so when you post, whoever's responsible for that, either on X or Facebook, I encourage parents to follow that information because it might not come in a bulletin or community or weekly bulletin. I think you do that too. And so it's another way to contact parents. And so I just want to acknowledge that work and your big step forward on behalf of Berry Bears. Thank you.
Thank you.
So now we'd like to recognize the Imperial Beach Charter Principal, Pilar Vargas. Yay!
Hi, good evening, board members, superintendent, community members. I am the proud principal of Imperial Beach Charter, and I am Pilar Vargas. This is now my second year. Mr. Prosapio and I actually started at the same time. We are part of that same cohort of principals. And I wanted to kind of just share with you exactly what we've been doing this year and where we're going. Okay. I'll go ahead and explain just a little bit while they're getting through the technical difficulties. I love technology. It's awesome. There we go. So we are housed actually right here next door to this very auditorium, and we serve students that are 4 years old in TK all the way through 8th grade through 14. And it is a wide range of grades, a wide range of ages, and a wide range of parents and understanding exactly through the process. You have parents who are brand new to education and have no idea what it actually means to be a parent. And then you have those that are ready and willing to ship off their teenagers to the next stage of their life. So as we continue, we serve about 780 students. There we go. And this was something that was created last year, and we are continuing along this year. We believe in the promise of our children, the strength of our families, and in the power of the impossible. And we continue to move forward with that thinking and those practices. And a big part of that was becoming and beginning the planning purposes of becoming a community school. So we applied for the grant and we received it. And so we're in the planning stages of it. We have our community school supervisor who's going through the onboarding process currently to help us really get that steering committee started so we can have our community really represent what this school should look like. We continue to focus on building that community, reaching out to them, and making sure that we are really expanding and creating that idea. A lot of the work that we've done with these community schools really has been about really finding a goal. And one of the main pieces that I actually placed on the application and what I continue to emphasize with that group of teachers that have been really helping with that is I initially said we were a lighthouse because we were the beacon, and that sounded really cool. But in my head, all I see is an octopus. And maybe it's appropriate because we're close to the beach, but what I really see us is the head that brings all of those resources and connects us, and so that we're one being, and so we serve the community as a whole. So as we continue with our LCAP, the first goal that it's the focus is academic excellence. And one of the things that we have implemented this year, which has been great, has been our learning acceleration tutor to really support the English and math for our students to really advance in those, because we noticed that those were an issue in regards to what the California dashboard was stating. We have also implemented before and after school tutoring for academic interventions, and this goes everything from first grade all the way through 8th grade to really support that those needs of those students. A lot of it is voluntary, but in speaking with a student and a parent actually yesterday, they're very, very grateful because it's been able to really move them forward in their English goals, their writing goals, their reading goals, and their math. We have grade level professional learning for teachers that is provided by the district. Guided reading has been really fun, actually going through and actually providing some of those guided reading lessons and seeing what those littles are able to produce has been really fun and interesting. Even up to the science professional learning that some of our upper grades have done as well has been really fun to see. I had a 3rd grade teacher do something with a dropper, and a kid thought that it was like magic. So you see some of that in action when you're in the classroom. And then our VAP and STEM teachers for our TK through 6 classes, which has also been very supportive. And those students do get seen once a month by those VAP and STEM teachers and provide that kind of extra additional support, because as we know, the arts and academics are closely linked. What you see actually in the image, one of my favorites, besides the don't touch picture that Emily decided to put on hers when they were doing a gallery walk, is really the boxes down below. And that's when we got the new delivery of all of our desks and our chairs. And I mean, I know some of you have seen they were due, but what one of our teachers decided to do was take the boxes that the desks came in and created individual study sessions and study places for our students. So what you see is actually a whole group of our 3rd graders taking an individual box and creating their own little reading nook. And once they were done with individualized reading, they then put their boxes together and did math problems on the boxes and shared that together. So just a different way. It was very fun. And all kinds of kids, even the middle schoolers, wanted to partake. But being able to walk through and just see all of the great learning that was happening outside and realizing that there's different ways of learning that is visible to everyone. They got really wet and destroyed the day after, but it's okay. It was fun while it lasted. Our second goal has to do with equity and inclusion. And we have done quite a bit of equity-based professional learning. And so we actually do have a core group of teachers and our counselor. So we have a middle school teacher, an upper grade teacher, and a lower grade teacher that have actually engaged in a lot of this work. We are currently in a fellowship through High Tech High Graduate School of Education, which is called the Improvement for Equity by Design. And in that grant and in that fellowship, we work on a monthly basis, meeting and really discussing not just our own biases and our own privilege, but what does that mean and what kind of impact does that provide within the classroom and on our school campus. And we've done quite a bit of work. And so I do want to shout out Sky Jolly and Leanne Fernandez for taking a bulk of that work on, a 2nd grade teacher and a 4th grade teacher. They've also been a part of, including this other group of us, going to the equity conference, taking a debrief and really figuring out what does that mean and how do we disseminate that to our staff. We attended the county street data conference, and so that has also helped to really implement a lot of those practices within our school site. We have actually done street data gathering, which is grade level fishbowl. So we had one full day and we had substitutes, and we basically did fishbowls with everything from TK all the way through 8th grade. And so we have data about what students believe, how students feel, and what they feel that they need and they want. Some things like we can't have ice cream in the cafeteria, I'm sorry, but other things about what they feel is important to them while on school is being analyzed, and we're going to be sharing that with the staff so that we can create a plan to really talk about how we can create that and incorporate that into next year's LCAP. Same thing with our empathy interviews. We have everyone from our classified staff actually holding interviews, empathy interviews with students and with families, all the way up to teachers and administrators also participating in these empathy interviews, which, as Mr. Prosapio said, it's that soft data, it's the heart, it's the core sometimes that we don't necessarily get with things like the dashboard. And so how do we use the heart in order to really lead us? And up in that top corner, we have our parent walkthroughs. We actually invited parents to come and walk through classes and observe and learn and ask questions and really get a feel for what it's like to be inside of these classrooms. So bringing the families, bringing the parents in is super, super important for us. And I participated in a fellowship last year in regards to liberatory design and mindset. And part of what I'm loving what the district and district leadership and Director Paula Flores has started is liberatory design and mindset, and really is how do we lead with the heart and the mind together in order to really liberate and encourage our students and our communities to do so much better. And we've actually started that. And so our two teachers that actually I shouted out earlier actually led a professional development at one of our most recent staff meetings with their staff members, because as we know, if I tell somebody to do something, it's great, but I don't lead alone. And so being able to really build the capacity within in order to make sure that we create the leadership within so that we can do it together instead of me doing it alone. Oh, I swear I didn't push that many buttons, Amy. It's LCAP goal 3. Thank you. With LCAP goal 3, we are continuing our restorative practices, specifically with our counselors and our behavior intervention assistants who actually go and push in and provide some of those resources into the classroom, but also do it with outside of the classroom as well. And so one of the ways that we're talking about reaching out and also providing that information and bringing communities in is through Minga, which is our middle school team way of communicating with those families, and our SMORE, which is provided weekly with information and newsletters to the rest of our community. We have continued our outreach and communication and trying to bring families in. A big part of that has to do with what we're doing with PTA. We have an amazing PTA with amazing support who have been able to really work well with in order to ensure that our families get serviced, have fun, and get to be connected to the school. We had a standing room only bingo night in December, which was amazing. And then we most recently had a glow party in this very room. It became a club. So I will say that it became a club. The DJ was loud and all kinds of like 90s music, and all the moms were dancing. I think the moms were dancing more than the kids, but the kids were running around, and it was great fun and being able to see everybody and get to really understand. And for me, it warmed my heart knowing that I knew so many of the students by name and knew so many of the parents as well. And so being able to make those connections has been really, really important. And as one of those other steps in really bringing the community in for our community school. And then we have our wonderful middle school sports. Middle school is very different than elementary school. And so sometimes the little things like a glow party or that family night bingo doesn't really resonate with a teenager and a tween. And if you've ever had one, you completely understand that. And so for them, getting them involved is takes a different kind of task. A big part of what we do is middle school sports for them. And so we actually have 2 championship teams so far. So we have in the fall, we had our boys basketball that took home the championship banner, and we had our softball team take home the championship banner, and our boys and girls soccer are actually going to the playoffs on Saturday. So we're hoping for 2 more banners there. But again, that really builds up the school spirit with the middle school because it is almost like a different entity. What I do want to notice as well is that our participation in the California Attendance Network, or ICANN, this year has also dropped our chronic attendance by 51%. So that is something to also be very, very proud of. And we've had quite a few classes that have had 95% average attendance throughout the school year, and they've maintained that, which is amazing considering the fact that we have a lot of sticky and not so healthy little ones. So, and a lot of those are in first grade, which is great. You guys work at an elementary school, you know what it's like. Some areas of challenge as we continue to move forward and really think about how we can focus and support our students and really moving them forward. We did see some growth, obviously, in English language arts and mathematics in some of those grades, but we're still seeing it as an area of challenge. And so our focus in regards to some of that dashboard data really is on basic math skills and really working on some word problems and problem solving skills. With English, it's more about phonemic awareness and really that third grade reading level. And that's what we're focusing on is the reading and just the reading comprehension as we move forward with that. And so you see quite a few of our students here. We see everything TK, elementary school, and middle school all working on those academic foci. As we're talking about areas of celebration, similar to Barry, our EL progress improved 6% to the point where we are on the green in the California dashboard, which is great. One of what I do want to state is that last year we had 110 English learners. This year we're at 178. So we have increased in English learners, and so our percentages might look a little different, but we're still super proud of our communities being able to get to that level. We had some great progress as well with our students with disabilities. They increased 21 points in English and in math, which is great. We love to see it. We love to see them supported and really improving. And then again, with our ICANN, our chronic absenteeism. So that's me getting silly stringed because our middle schoolers won the attendance challenge. That's me from a distance. I was covered in silly string. It smells really, really bad. But as long as the kids like it and it's for them and they really appreciated it, that's the goal, right? We want them involved. And so you can see some of the other learning that's going on there. In the end, this has been one of the most fun parts of my career, is being able to really see the growth and being able to make connections with students in a way to support them and be excited by the learning. Are there difficulties? Yes, because we're dealing with humans, little humans, and sometimes not so little humans, but pretty smelly ones. But they're still amazing, and being able to see it and be a part of it is one of, it truly is a great joy to be there. So thank you very much. Any questions?
Yay, IB charter. Go.
Yes.
As you can tell, trustees and public, that Barry is quite different than IB charter.
Mhm.
The demographics are different. The challenges are different. I thank you for coming tonight. I'm going to go ahead and open it to the trustees and then I'll come back.
Thank you for your presentation. I just have one question for you. Can you tell me again what is Minga and S'more?
Absolutely. So initially the middle school team tried to do Instagram, but it became a little bit difficult to manage, especially with it being so public. And so an option which allowed for a little bit more control and a little bit more limitation and a little bit more teenager parent friendly is Minga. So it is a place where they post pictures and information. They post sports updates and schedules. And so all of that is within that closed community. So it's not free and public and open. And so it's safer. And so that is a very good way to communicate with our middle school. And so they switch, essentially it's a class dojo, but for middle school. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
I know you are working on your community school
Yes.
journey.
Yes.
So it was really interesting to hear how much you are reaching out and your interaction with the community around you. That was interesting. That's good. And then I have a technical question too.
Yes.
So on those parent walkthroughs,
Mhm.
usually it's the same people who walk through. And so I'm curious as to how many new to the classroom parents have taken advantage of this.
So it was just the first time. And so there were a couple of new new ones, but you are correct. It was a traditional one. We will be doing another one after spring break. And so we're going to be using our new community school supervisor and our family parent liaison to really reach out and invite others to go ahead and attend so we can kind of compare the data from the first one to the second one. And again, one of the things about community schools is that we obviously need to include the community. We obviously need to include the families in everything that we're doing. And this is one way to do that. But I believe that a lot of what we're doing already leads in the steps in the path of community school. And so we're hoping to just build upon a lot of what the structures we've already created and built, and hoping to use that as one of those octopus arms to bring them in.
Great. I think all parents should go visit the kids at the schools, not just their child's room at, during parent conference, but to really see what's going on.
And so with
Good
those
idea.
parent walkthroughs, we made it a point not to go to their child's rooms. And so we went to everything from middle school to TK and everything between, but we did not go to their child's classroom on purpose.
Thank you for sharing everything. I love having I love hearing about having the families back on campus. Like, there was just that dark time where it wasn't happening at all. So seeing that starting to flourish again is amazing, and building that sense of community, and also having Miss Jolly and Miss Fernandez lead professional development. I love that. I love that, we have very talented teachers, and I love that they're able to share their specialties with everybody else. And I hope to see more of that with all of our schools, so we can celebrate all of our wonderful teachers and staff. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Like I told the staff, I don't do this alone. I can't do this alone. And so it's another community school tenet of capacity building and leading together.
Good point, Kelly, about using the staff that we have for professional development. In-house people are very, very well trained and can lead a professional development course. So thank you, Kelly, for pointing that out. I'm really excited about the walkthrough with parents. And then it brought me to open house night. Was that well attended?
Open house, yes,
Yeah.
it was. And so we held essentially 3. And so we had kind of an orientation for TK and kinder parents, because that's their first foray into education many times. So that was initially kind of like an open house for them, and that was separate. And then we had our elementary school open house, and then we have a middle school open house. And trying to navigate that with what Mar Vista and Mar Vista Academy is doing, it's a nice tower of Jenga.
Well, that's where collaboration works, I think, and great planning, you and your staff. And I'm pleased that you share that it's a team effort, because it is a big school, and the demographics of this building alone from here to there is like 4 miles, 10 miles to a little child. Okay, so reading the LCAP, which we'll review later, I wanted to say thank you for acknowledging the work of the PTA. The PTA there at IB Charter is phenomenal. I think that's the first time I ever saw an LCAP sharing that PTA was a resource, and you identified that in your LCAP. So I really appreciate that. Your community school update was real important to me and the trustees, because we've been waiting for some news. And so now that you shared that, you're working towards that steering committee is important. Also in your LCAP, it shares about the tutoring before and after school, and your teachers that are, they're not volunteering, but they're working those time slots, and it shows in your data. Okay, so committed staff, teamwork, and the goals for student achievement is evident, not only in your report here, but in your LCAP. I want to acknowledge that and the growth that your school has made under your leadership. And you're right, it's been 2 years. So you've come a long way in 2 years. Your seventh grade, I wrote this note for a purpose. We have seventh grade.
Mhm.
We have so many incoming sixth graders that will hopefully go to your seventh grade program. Do you do any promotions at our other schools like Bayside Central, et cetera, and promote IB charter for seventh grade in
Yes.
our other schools?
Yes, and so I do that. We have a few scheduled for Central, Oneonta, Bayside. So all of our local schools. Last year I also presented at Berry, and so I do offer that so that we can go ahead and schedule that so that I can show and demonstrate what exactly we do. And so those presentations are done to sixth graders. And then we have an informational night for people who want to come into seventh grade as well. And so we open that up to the entire community. And so that's actually on February 28th. And so from here until then, I'll be going and visiting different schools and promoting IB charters to let them know to also come and apply and be a part of what we have going on here.
Well, take the sports team down with you. Because that will attract and especially the basketball and softball.
Mm.
And again, I thank you for sharing about the shared leadership because it's not one hand, it's many. So thank you again.
Thank you.
Again, thank you so much for your school reports. It's been a while since we've had principals do their school reports, so we welcome you and hope that you stay the night with us. Okay, moving on to item 4, report of action taken in closed session. Do we have a report tonight, Ms. Clerk?
I believe this is my first one. So, okay. So, I have a report out upon the motion of trustee Ellsworth, seconded by trustee Medina, a vote of 4 and 1 absence. A total of 8 temporary, do I read all those numbers? 8 temporary certificated employees and 1 intern, numbers 542975, 65995, 660675, 481567, 658311, 646351, 607267, 635734. Those are our temporary certificated employees, and we have 1 intern certificated employee. ID number 607301, were released for the 2024-2025 school year. And then our second action in closed section, upon the motion of trustee Ellsworth, seconded by trustee Medina by a vote of 3 yes, 1 absence, and 1 abstention. The governing board approved a settlement agreement with the certificated employee whose last day of paid service will be April 30th, 2024. And that is all.
Thank you for your report this evening. We're moving on to item 5, changes in the agenda. At this time, trustees or executive team members may recommend changing the order of the agenda items and or request that an item from the consent calendar be placed within the discussion action section of the board meeting. The secretary will keep track of any recommendations. Please note, no new items may be added without advance public notice. Are there any changes to the agenda? Superintendent? Thank you. All right. We'll move on to approval of the meeting agenda. I'll hear a motion to approve the February 8th, 2024 regular board meeting agenda. as presented.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
Right, we have a motion and a second. We'll call for the vote.
Ellsworth,
Yes.
Liker,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1, one absent.
All right. Thank you so much. We move on to item 7, communications to the Board of Trustees. At this time, we'll open the floor up to our groups that will be called up, and there's a 5-minute limit per group. Our first group up is South Bay PTA Council.
Good evening, President Quinones, board members, Superintendent Espinosa, admin team, and community members. I met with our PTA presidents this afternoon, and I can't believe it's time that we already are up to hold elections next month. The year is just zipping by. We're looking forward to attending the 9th District Founders Day breakfast on February 28th with our 2 distinguished guests. Very excited. And we did have a wondering regarding if there's been any progress made about allowing junior volunteers to help with events. I know somebody, I can't remember who, but they were working with Sweetwater to try to get something going as far as having, former high school students come and help. So we're kind of wondering about that, getting junior volunteers back. Bayside will be meeting with Kiwanis to offer free reading programs to their students. Barry's also meeting with the Kiwanis. We've got that program presented to our presidents, and they're having Kiwanis come and talk to their parents. So we should hear more about that program coming up. And they're Barry's also getting ready to host a book fair. Emory has a successful family drawing night. I'm kind of envisioning something like a, Pictionary night. They didn't elaborate because their president was sick, but in spite of the rain, they had a really good turnout. They also held their association meeting that night, which I think is very smart to hold something to get the parents to come to your association meeting. IB had a well-attended glow dance. They asked if I would have any problem being the bouncer at the door. And for those of you who know me, I said, no problem. My job was to keep anybody with food or drink from coming back in. So right person for the job. They are currently selling Easter candy with C's. And the first week of March, they will be having a book fair with a special person luncheon during the book fair. Mendoza will also be hosting their first book fair the first week of March, and they're offering friendship grams for Valentine's Day. Nestor will be having a friendship dance, and they had to schedule 2 because they had so many people who wanted to participate. And they will also be having a book fair. Nikoloff will be having a family reading night, which if you've ever been to their family reading night, it's awesome. That's coming up in March along with their book fair. So if you need book fair, check any school. They're coming up. Oneonta will be celebrating Read Across America in March and sponsoring the Leader in Me store, where if they earn tickets, they get to go to the store and spend their tickets. And all of our units will be holding elections during March and April, according to their bylaws. So it's a good time if parents and grandparents, I'm a grandparent, are interested in learning more about PTA and wanting to participate on the board. Reach out to your local PTA president or any PTA board member, and they can help you with the information. I feel like this part of the year starts moving at a fast forward pace. I felt that way when I worked for the district. I still feel that way. I don't know what it is. But before we know it, this year will be closing and a new one starting, Tempus Fugit. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we call up California School Employees Association, Chapter 59. Calling Chapter 59. Thank you. All right, we'll move on to Southwest Teacher Association, SWATA. Calling SWATA. All right, thank you so much. Moving on to District Superintendent. District Superintendent.
All right, good evening. Thank you, President Quinones. Today I'm going to do my presentation from up here. I have over the last several months and probably the last couple of years, I have talked about the importance of an effective governance team, the importance of an effective board. And I talked about how appreciative I am that we have a board that is committed to working together and ensuring that our focus is on the overall improvement of our district. We have a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of really, really, really hard choices to make as we go forward. And so I really want to commend the board for all the time that they put into preparing themselves, to being dedicated to preparing for board meetings, to listening to the community, and then kind of trying to figure out what's going on. That takes a lot of time. I know that not everybody sees all the work that's done, right? Everybody just sees the glamour that's in front of us right now. But there's a lot of work that happens in the background. And so today I'm going to recognize a couple of our board members. The California School Board's Masters in Governance program equips local education agencies with the knowledge and skills to build and support an effective governance structure. The program is comprised of 5 courses covering topics including foundations of effective governance, policy and judicial review, student learning and achievement, school finance, human resources and collective bargaining, and community relations and advocacy. It is my pleasure to congratulate Trustee Ellsworth, Trustee Liker, and Trustee Medina on completing the program this year. Trustee Quinones has previously completed the program, and Trustee Lopez Aguino will complete his courses before the end of the school year. I am pleased to present you with your certificates, a pin, and a badge signifying that you are an alumnus of the Masters in Governance program. Congratulations. All right, Trustee Medina.
This is a big thing. Thank you, Superintendent.
Trustee Ellsworth. And Trustee Liker.
Thank you, Superintendent. I think that's the first time I've ever seen a superintendent recognize the MIG program up at the podium. So thank you for recognizing our new graduates. And we've been waiting for the pins, and we've been waiting for the diplomas, and now we have them. And thank you so much for doing a presentation for them. Good job, trustees. Okay, now we're moving on to public comments on non-agenda items. Public comments. The board will take no action or discussion on any item not appearing on the posted agenda, except as authorized by law. Individual speakers are allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each item, on each non-agenda item. Speakers are not permitted to yield their time to another person. The board limits the total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. We will open public comments now. Are there any public comments?
Roxanne Palestino.
Oh, there you go. Hello, everyone. So yeah, Miss Ellsworth was actually my fifth grade teacher at Emory 25 years ago. I'm excited to see her. Yeah. So tonight I'm here just to talk about, so I'm a parent of two beautiful little girls with disabilities in the San Isidro district. So I'm one of the CAC applicants for my district. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the CAC, but so it's for special education. So we're just here maybe looking for parents and teachers in special education. They want to be a part of it. And we're just here presenting ourselves, and I have my friends and allies here with me that might want to say a few words about it, but I was just kind of excited to see the amazing right here for the stage for the yeah, everything's super organized, all the schools. I'm very impressed with your guys' district and everyone's participation. All right, I think we'll still have a few minutes, but I think my friend.
Lisa, is it Lisa Yegan?
Hi, my name is Lisa Yegan. I'm passionate about special education. I am a special education teacher in National City. I have written a letter to you all about the Community Advisory Committee. It is a state mandated committee that currently in your school district, you have 3 vacant seats. This CAC has been running for, the Community Advisory Committee for the South Bay SELPA has been running for over 10 years. However, it has not had parent involvement. It has not all of the information has been trickling down to the school district is the way that I have understood it. However, it is made up of it's a state mandated program that involves 11,000 students and a budget of $270 million for special education students in the South Bay with 6 school districts. And you have 2 parent vacancies and you have 1 teacher vacancy. And so what happened in my school district, when my school district did not want to approve me and did not move, I filed a complaint with the California Department of Education, and they were ordered to nominate me. So I don't want for that to be your position. However, we are prepared to do that. You have said some amazing things tonight. I really respect everything that you're doing here with your students and your community. But like many of your speakers have said tonight, you still have a lot of work to do. The parent involvement is so important, as you already know, like the principal said earlier about the octopus arms. Parent voice in the way that the special education funding is spent is the most important, because they are the parents of the children with disabilities. They know best what their children need in their education. And the only way that they have that voice is through the Community Advisory Committee. They would become voting members and they would be on a board just like you are. And your community deserves it. Your children, your students deserve it. And we are here to implore you to please take action and recruit your parents, work with your union and have these positions filled. They are very important to the entire South Bay. We are not able to make any decisions without a 19-member quorum. Right now, there are only 2 parents and 1 teacher on this entire committee representing 11,000 students. If you were to go to Del Mar or if you were to go to Poway, any parent could come up to the board and request to be nominated. Why not here? Why can't a person be nominated? Why don't these people deserve to be able to have that access? You are the ones that can nominate. You have the power to add it to your agenda. You have the power to nominate the people, to send the name to Russell Coronado. And we ask you today, please don't wait another minute. Thank you.
I just wanted to thank you for your comments and say that we wholeheartedly believe and agree with what you're saying, and we will be moving to ensure that those seats are full. Thank you.
Kathy Parsons.
I always forget how to do it. Hi, you all know me, so I don't have to say who I am. And I just want to let you all know that I'll be here at every board meeting till I have to leave town because of the disappointment. And as I look around in the agenda, and you guys talk about community and impacting the children, I see we're going to go ahead and get rid of 13 employees tonight sometime. And then, oh yeah, Boys and Girls Club, we're going to have ELOP oversee that. Well, I was at Imperial Beach Charter School picking up my grandchild with the last intercession with ELOP, where the kids were running amok until it was complained to the district. And then we saw the suits come out and it got straightened out. Well, I'm worried about my grandkid in Emory. That's a busy, busy street. Those kids running amok. Right now, Boys and Girls Club does a great job. And I don't know the reason for giving an oversight to this ELOP or not, but I do know that the Baha'i Boys and Girls Club are part of this community, if you haven't forgotten. And another little thing on how you guys don't affect people. As you know, last week, my sister had to pull her retirement papers at the attendance secretary meeting yesterday when they all had their meeting. And he said, "Oh, congratulations, Deborah." And she said, "Congratulations. I didn't want to quit. I have to quit. I can't afford to live in Imperial Beach on the salary I make." So you're uprooting our whole family. And I see all this input from the community and everything for Pete. Well, yeah. What about a school that there's no kids at? And now I see them segregating, putting a fence in there. Looks like they're going to segregate kids when they start bringing them over for intercession. Does that mean you're not going to let the Friendship School and our kids interact? We used to do that. I went to South Bay Union School District. I know you did, Cheryl. You taught in it. And I know you have kids in it. I've seen you. I don't know much about you, so I'm bad to say. But it's a community. And more help. We should have got more help with this instead of a lousy 3 months. My mom, they can't be moved. What's going to happen is the district's going to have to come in and they are going to have to demolish it. Then my mother is going to have to pay for that too. So that's all I have to say. Like I said, I'll be here. I know who is up for re-election too in November, and I'll be very vocal about that. Thank you.
I'm sorry, those are the end of the comments.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. We'll move on to item 9, discussion and action items. First up would be item 9A, general functions and the proclamation. I'd like to recognize our Superintendent Jose Espinoza at this time, who will introduce the proclamation and speak a little bit about the local emergency pollution environment crisis. Thank you, Superintendent.
Thank you, President Quinones. At our last board meeting, one of our previous board members, Mary Doyle, came up to the podium and talked a little bit about just the environmental crisis that we've been dealing with here in the South Bay along our beaches. As most of us know, the beaches have been closed for a very long time. It's a problem that is just out of control. I want to recognize our mayor, or IB's mayor, Paloma Aguirre. She has been doing a lot of work to advocate for some funding to address that issue. And I know other community members have also done some of that work, but she has specifically, since I've been here, she has been one of the ones leading some of that work. At our school districts, we have also written letters to the president a lot of our students have written letters to the president just to to talk about some of the impacts that it has on our community and on our schools, and specifically on our students. So tonight, we are going to have a proclamation just that really addresses ocean pollution in South County. We have drafted a draft proclamation for the board to consider and to adopt. Thank you.
And there are 2 public comments on this item.
I'll take those now, Ms. Cooper.
Jack Fisher.
Good evening, board. I just want to say thanks to President Quinones for letting me know that this was on the agenda this evening. As Superintendent Espinoza has stated, this is a huge problem. It has been since I was a kid. However, it's been escalated. 2023 was a historic year in Imperial Beach because of all the community groups, not just in the South Bay, but all the way as far as north. All the mayors, Sandag, every community group, even up to California Coastal Commission, has signed on of letters of support to ask President Biden and Gavin Newsom, our governor, to declare a state of emergency to get this problem fixed. There's been record closures in the south end of the beach. It's been over, I think, 800 days. We have a permanent closed beach sign sitting down there. Most of the children who attend the school district have not had the opportunity in their entire lifetime to go out, to surf, to recreate in the water safely and on a consistent basis. If you've gone out to the beach during the summer and the most beautiful days, there's no children frolicking around. We've seen reports of the airborne illness that's happened for just kids walking on the sand, and to walk, on the beach is dangerous. This is unacceptable. We've had failures from our federal government. They've underfunded it. Right now, there is a bill on the floor of Congress. There's a supplemental spending bill, and if passed, it would allot $300 million to the EPA's plan to get this fixed. Last week, our Mayor Aguirre, Mayor McCann from Chula Vista, as well as Councilmember Duncan from Coronado were in DC advocating for the passage of this bill. But I'd like to report that the White House recognized all the letters that were sent, including all the ones from the school district, the pictures. It was recognized. So I want our students to know that they can make a difference in our community. First step is the advocacy of this board and the help of the parents, the community at large, to really get going and to push and push. It's never too late. We can push back. IB has fought above its weight for years and will continue to do so. But I want to thank the board and ask that you adopt this proclamation, and that our governor will recognize it and our president will recognize it and understand the impacts that this sewage is having on this community and of the lives and the health and the safety and the well-being of our children. I appreciate that a school board would take the time to do this with so many other concerns of educating and enrollment and all that, to look over that and to be partners in a longstanding history of partners with the city and all other groups that have signed on to get this fixed. So thank you, and I hope that you would adopt this.
Mary Doyle.
Good evening, and thank you, Mr. Fisher. Good evening, trustees, school board, President Quinones, Superintendent Espinosa, and staff, former colleagues, current friends, and community members. My name is Mary Doyle. I'm a resident of IB, retired Mar Vista High School teacher, and former member of this illustrious board. I also come to urge you to support this proclamation. Since our last meeting, school board meeting here, we've had the big rain of January 22nd and this last week's deluge, all flooding our estuary and beaches with trash and effluent of untreated or partially treated water. That's what nature's been doing. Meanwhile, as Mr. Fisher just mentioned, there have been visits to DC from our local mayors, Mr. McCann and Paloma Aguirre, and many local politicians and community members. And our governor has spoken of the sewage in DC as well. And I also went to Sweetwater School Board and asked them for a similar proclamation. And it's my goal to go to every local school board, since I do have that little niche knowledge of school boards, because this is about our kids and it's about our future generation and what happens to these kids. Infrastructure has suddenly become a big word, and it's essential. Everyone agrees. So in parting, I have given you each a token and reminder of our border water efforts, the little ball caps. I purchased them and gifted them to you as a concerned citizen. So together, let our voices, our united voices, speak up for the health of our kids. We need our clean border water now, and everything we do, every voice that rises is helpful, as Mr. Fisher mentioned. Thank you. Thank you both, all of you.
There are no more public comments.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper, and thank you, Superintendent, for bringing this proclamation forward on behalf of the community, children, and region. At this time, I will move the item forward to adopt the proclamation regarding a local emergency pollution environmental crisis. Can I get a second, please?
I would definitely like to second that.
Thank you very much. Any discussion?
Well, I remember reading it when you sent it out for us or wherever read it in the materials. I'm thinking it was very complete. There was a little tone of in it. So thank you.
Most of you know that I grew up here and spent many hours and days at the beach. Okay. In the 60s, it said contaminated yellow sign. In the 90s, it said warning. Did we read that? No. Did we play in the shoreline? Yes. Did we boogie board? Well, we had plywood. Okay, back then. So, but we did a lot of skipping. Okay. But it was still a warning. In 2008, it said stay out or be cited, because the lifeguards were getting sick, saving people that were swimming in our beach. The Border Patrol, their uniforms rotten, their rubber boots are melting. Our SEAL team, my dad was a SEAL right here on the Strand. The SEALs can't swim in our ocean. They have to go up north. Okay, it's impacting our civil defense and the military power that we need. Again, thank you, Trustee Doyle. This is very important for everyone in our region. It is impacting the neighborhoods on the east now and going up to Chula Vista. They're not finally, but they're impacted as well on the smell. Monument Road was closed this last week. Dairy Mart was closed. I mean, this is right up next to Nestor. This is right where Nikolov is. Okay, so it is impacting attendance, the health and welfare of our students and our families. And I can't stress it enough that we need to band together, all of us, and push this forward. I might not be here when it's done, but I'm certainly going to do my part and push it forward. And on that note, we'll take a vote.
Ellsworth, Liker,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 with 1 absent.
At this time, we'll take a 5-minute recess. We're still waiting for one trustee. Trustee Liker, please report up to the dais. Trustee Liker. Getting ready to call this meeting back to order. We're going to go ahead and start our meeting again. Recess is over. We are missing one trustee, Kelly Leichner. So, but we're going to go ahead because we have a quorum. And on that note, Superintendent, I might have cut you off at the proclamation. Did you have anything to add?
I was just going to thank the board for adopting the proclamation, and let you know that we are going to be sending the proclamation to President Biden, our governor, the governor, and Congressman Vargas, and that I would also like to encourage, our staff, our community, to print out the proclamation and send letters to the president. I think the more that we raise our voice, the more likely it is that it's going to be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Superintendent, so much for bringing this proclamation and, share the wealth with the other superintendents in the region when you get a chance. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So Trustee Leichner is now joining us. Thank you very much. Educational Leadership, item B, 2021-2024 LCAP update. At this time, I'd like to recognize Assistant Superintendent Pamela Riker Montiel for a mid-year update on our LCAP and IB Charter and Nestor Language Academy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Good evening. Good evening, President Quinones, Superintendent Espinosa, trustees, members of the audience. This evening, I bring before you the mid-year LCAP update. Is it me? It's me. So the first report that I'm bringing before you is for South Bay Union School District. I would like to acknowledge that we have both of our charter principals with us this evening. We do have Dr. Vargas, who presented earlier, and so you did get to hear some of the highlights of what is happening at Imperial Beach Charter School. And we also have Principal Jaime Gonzalez, who's in the back there, who comes to us from Nestor Language Academy Charter, who did not do a presentation this evening, but I'll touch upon some of the highlights in the mid-year report for Nestor. But first, we're going to go ahead and start with the LCAP Goal 1 for South Bay Union School District. The hard part about this presentation is that you all have your exhibits. So I have my exhibits as well. If you have questions, please do not hesitate to let me know. But each of the schools have exhibits, which is the actual report. So much like when you approve the LCAP itself or the school plans for student achievement, you have all of those documents as attachments on the board agenda. And so what I'm going to do is I'm not going to go through the entire update, but what the purpose of the update is to share with you where we are at mid-year. So it's really that December 31st sort of checkpoint on the 3 LCAPs. It's interesting that we're doing this because we're going into a new template for next year, but it's been a nice, process to have the opportunity to reflect what have we accomplished so far, what is yet to accomplish by the end of the school year, and then how that will affect the new LCAP. So they do all fit together. They feel sort of separated, but they do all ultimately fit together. So for LCAP Goal 1, I wanted to just share some highlights, or a highlight in particularly, and that is for 1.1 action step, which is for our one-to-one devices. And I wanted to share that we are in our refresh. So we are in the process of refreshing our devices, not only for staff, but we're coming upon refreshing our devices for students. So that is a large expenditure. And so in the report, we share what has been expended, when what is yet to expend. And so that is something that we are going through the process of. In goal 2, one of the highlights that I wanted to share was under the action step 2.1, which is, I'm sorry, it should say 2.2. So that's my typo because the asterisk is next to ethnic studies. And that was just to share with you that in the mid-year report, we have to share whether something is implemented, partially implemented, not implemented, or fully implemented. And so there is that column for each of the action steps. And I wanted to explain that I did indicate this is one that we are not implementing. And so I wanted to highlight that because it's not that it's not still a priority, but when we placed it in the LCAP almost 3 years ago, it was the beginnings of work that the county was going to be doing regarding ethnic studies. And remember, it was the passing of the requirement that high school students had an ethnic studies course. And so what we have found is, although we've stayed in touch with the work at the county and our Equity TOSA has been a part of that, is staying in the loop of the work that they're doing. They really are focused on the high school. So although there's a desire to bring some of that work down to middle and elementary school, it continues to be a high school focus since it is a high school course requirement. So I had to be honest in our mid-year report that this is something that we are not implementing, or the actual terminology is, yeah, not implementing. When we look at goal 3, I wanted to highlight activity 1.13 or 13, 1.13. This should be 3.13. I need some math tutoring. This actual school counselors and social workers comes from the supplemental, and it's so confusing, the supplemental and concentration LCFF funds. So we received 2 pots of funds, the LCFF base and the LCFF supplemental and concentration, but we received a supplement of those funds. And that is when we added our school counselors and social workers. And so that is something that we were happy to be able to put in the plan and indicate that we are implementing. Next, I wanted to share the IBCS mid-year report. And again, you were able to hear Dr. Vargas talk about all of the wonderful things that are happening at Imperial Beach Charter School. But just to highlight from their goals, and again, they have their own LCAP. So while the district LCAP drives the work in many cases with the vision, mission, those overarching concepts, it is an individualized plan. And so you'll see some similar action steps, but not all the same. And so I wanted to highlight the 1.1 action or activity is their LAT. So in the presentation this evening, you saw that the Learning Acceleration Tutor sees students in 6-week cycles. And so there are those tutoring cycles that are happening. And so Imperial Beach Charter School was able to indicate how that was going in their mid-year report. And so you also see in the mid-year report that we give actual metrics. So we give the both quantitative and qualitative metrics in the mid-year report. And so you'll see CAS data, but you'll also see things like what other artifacts are there. So in this case, an artifact for the Learning and Acceleration Tutor would be their schedule. Rosters of students that are being seen. So again, this is part of this template where we include those types of evidence that these things are occurring. And so for Imperial Beach Charter School, they indicated a fully implemented level of implementation for 1.1. In goal 2, they highlighted 2.2, professional learning is shared during staff meetings and learning implemented during the school day. And so we heard about the teacher leaders and building capacity and what they are doing to provide professional development or share at staff meetings what they are learning, as well as that their PLCs in Action 2.4 are conducted with an equity lens. In Goal 3, they highlighted the social emotional learning that's occurring, professional learning via the counselor. So at Imperial Beach Charter School, the counselor goes into classrooms, and I've been on classroom walkthroughs or visitations before when I've seen this. Because I said, who's doing the lesson? And it was the counselor modeling a lesson, doing a lesson with students, so that it not only builds the capacity of the teacher in the classroom, but builds that relationship with the students and the counselor. Next, I will share Nestor's, some highlights from Nestor's mid-year report. In LCAP Goal 1, some of the highlights are under Action 1.7 and 1.8, and that is student progress monitoring. And so at Nestor, the PLCs are dedicated to common assessments and data. So this is something that they're talking about in their PLCs. And so that is something that's being implemented and that they feel is successful. In Action 1.8, there is a greater focus on supplying manipulatives for math. So while they had supplemental instructional materials in the mid-year report, they shared that they want to focus more on supplying manipulatives for math. So again, it's that good mid-year checkpoint to see what are we implementing, how is it going, and how might we change that moving forward. In Goal 2, the highlights are around 2.2 and 2.3. So PD, they have engaged in PD around student-led conferences, so building the capacity of students. And I know we saw an example of that from another school this evening, having a student stand up and present to us about student voice, as well as their professional learning communities and how they're engaging in their PLCs. And they indicated they had an upcoming PD with the TOSA already calendared. So again, it's just that mid-year check-in. And then lastly, for their Goal 3, they indicated on activity 3.1 that they are using Sanford Harmony and EduGuide. And so indicating that how that is going as something that they are currently implementing. And that is fully implemented, and it actually shows that their artifacts or their evidence would be their daily schedules. And they do this at the beginning of each day, teaching Sanford Harmony lessons, and that is to achieve their social emotional goals and establish a positive classroom environment. So for every action step that is listed in each LCAP, you will see the level of implementation, the mid-year outcome data, whether it is an official metric such as the CAS data or let's say attendance data, or whether it is other evidence it can be qualitative or quantitative, or artifacts such as schedules. Are there any questions about this mid-year report? And this is a presentation. It's not an approval. It does not require approval, but it is required that we come before you and just share that at that mid-year checkpoint. We do not do this every year. However, in the new LCAP template and the new requirements, it will be a requirement every year to come before you and do a mid-year report.
Thank you so much for your presentation. And you're right. It's not an action item. It's a presentation for information only. But at this time, I'd open the floor up to our trustees, and we have one light on. Ms. Ellsworth, Trustee Ellsworth.
Yes.
The supplemental of the concentration of the LCFF.
Yes.
Does that money go away?
No, that was actually an additional, if I recall correctly, $1.8 million that we received that went into the LCAP. So even though it was presented in a supplemental report and a supplemental approval process, that the following year it embedded into the ongoing allocation.
Okay, so they can't take it away.
It is, I
heard
can't say they
embedded.
can't take it away. I'm not going to say that.
Well,
but yes,
yeah.
yes, that is ongoing funding, which is why we did put it in the LCAP, because it is something that we value, having counselors and social workers. And so it is.
Exactly. Thank you. Let's see. Oh, in IB, the counselors go in and you saw a lesson being taught to the
Yes.
whole to the whole class.
Yes.
How else do the counselors help the students?
Well, at Imperial Beach, because they are a TK through 8th grade school, not only are they leading the SEL work and the what I would consider school-wide social emotional learning, they also can do tier 2 social emotional lessons or groups. So they might be the social skills group or students that need a little bit extra. And then you have middle school. So there's a little bit more of that counseling in the middle school that includes what a more traditional middle school counselor or high school counselor. So that is why they actually have more counseling time than other schools, because of that range.
So it can be one-on-one,
It
small
ca-
group,
It can
whatever
be,
is
yes. Mhm.
needed.
Right.
Thank you.
And counselors, and we also look at counselors as they can see any student in that time of need. So if it's something that's happened, let's say that it's a death in the family, then a counselor can see that student immediately, sort of assess the situation. Is this an ongoing need or short-term need? And then seek the appropriate permission slips and parent permission to move forward. But the counselor is one of several people on campus that can provide that immediate support. And when we talk about the teams, we always say, the child comes first. So we take care of the need immediately and then determine what next. Is it ongoing support? Is it support with the school psychologist? Is it support in a social skills group? Is it one-on-one? Yeah.
And we have a counselor at every school
We do.
with ongoing money.
We do.
Thank you.
Mhm. We do.
Thank you so much for coming this evening, and I know it's getting late, so I won't be long-winded here. The counselors, when the board approved that particular position, I thought the counselors in the charters were going to help with and possibly this, K through 6 counselors. We're going to work with promoting students and identifying the next step for 6th grade promoting out, or the 7th and 8th grade promoting up. So is there any work there that makes that transition for those students with the counselor?
When I think in terms, you're talking about like articulation and transition to that next grade level?
Yes.
Yes. So I don't know, would you like Dr. Vargas to come up and speak specifically to Imperial Beach Charter
No.
School?
No. I just want to wrap my head around it, because we need to support those students in those
Yes.
grade level and
Mhm.
voting up, and whether they stay with the charters or not.
Mhm.
We want every student to be successful in the next grade level. So, I thank you for that.
Yeah. And that is why they do have additional time, because we recognize that the middle school's needs are different than the elementary needs in respect to that transition, either to middle school while they're in middle school or as they advance to high school.
Yeah, and I'm really concerned about Nestor promoting 8th graders and going to Southwest High in the district. That school district is going to be capping down their class block to 5 and eliminating possibly that partnership that Nestor gleaned like 10 years ago or so in promoting the 8th graders to that high school. So I don't know if there's been talks with our Nestor principal, and I'm just throwing it out there. I don't expect you to know this, but I'm concerned about our eighth graders, FYI, going to that school and not being recognized for all their work because they have really worked hard. The LCAP, the mid-year LCAP, the whole thing was very easy reading and not 1,000 pages. And so I'm sure all the trustees appreciate that. That I was like,
We'll bring
pointing-
those 1,000 pages at the end of the year, so don't worry.
Okay, warning. I did have words about our district LCAP and the vision and the recognition of our and championing those successful programs, but also recognizing that we have challenges. So I appreciate all the words in that dedicated column. In regards to IB Charter, I said earlier that I recognize the work of that principal and team and acknowledging that there is a lot of work to do and covering in the before school and the after school programs, and that's participation is important. And I thank the teachers for doing that for our students and the commitment there to that group. I'm concerned about Nestor because Nestor has 2 resource teacher openings that they are unable to fill according to their LCAP report because of limited space. So that told me that they don't have room to for a little office for that resource teacher. I forget what the resources was, but there's 2 of them. So I'm concerned about that, Superintendent, that we don't have enough space at Nestor to house a resource that they need. So with that, I don't want to keep you long, but thank you so much. Any other comments, board? No. Thank you, Pamela. Thank you. Okay, what we've all been waiting for is item C, Department Update and Technology. I'd like to recognize Director Jennifer Ovler, who will update us on the technology department. This is not an action item. Thank you.
Good evening, President Quinones, Superintendent Espinosa, trustees, executive team, esteemed colleagues and guests. My name is Jennifer Oliveira. I'm the proud director of technology for the South Bay Union School District. I'd like to start with how I begin all mass communication with a joke so that you know that it's me standing here. What do you call a computer superhero? Anyone? A screensaver. Pause for effect. Thank you. Okay.
We're gonna end your
Tonight, I'd
we're
like
gonna
to-
end your presentation with that.
Get the hook. All right. Tonight, I'd like to tell you the overview of our department, our mission, vision, and values, how our department is organized, our current initiatives, our current challenges, and then some future projects. All right. My personal mission for our department is that kids are using technology as a tool, and they will use it to create, collaborate, communicate, and critically think in a safe, robust infrastructure. And basically that comes down to 2 things: our kids safe and our kids creating. We have a lot of platforms that allow them to consume technology, and we want to get to a point where we are actually having kids create with technology. And it's really about the thinking that they're doing with technology and not that they can operate the actual device along with that. A couple of years ago, our team came up with this mission. The technology department is focused on providing appropriate, reliable, and equitable technology equipment and services in support of learning. We also identified 2 values. One is teamwork, and we rely heavily on teamwork of the entire technology department, but we also look at teamwork as being the collaboration with the other departments and sites. We also value security, and that is to protect our systems, our data, our staff, and students. We serve every department and site, with our main target being students and staff and classrooms. We work closely with all departments regularly on implementation or consultation. For example, over the years, we've worked very closely with HR on provisioning accounts, onboarding new employees and offboarding new employees. We've spent a lot of time with facilities, working on projects that they are working on, security cameras and things like that. We also work, for example, with child nutrition and onboarding new software for them, providing data requests for the child nutrition team. All right. Our team is, we have so I have 4 little mini, well, maybe 5 little mini departments within the technology team. We have our network team, which is, and all of these folks have mostly been here for a really long time. I didn't mean that to sound bad. This is an established team, I should say. The network team provides services around Wi-Fi, phones, cybersecurity. We follow closely the Center for Internet Security controls. There are 18 controls that we pay close attention to. Endpoint detection on all the devices, account provisioning, and making sure our emergency systems are up to speed. I have an information systems team. That's Casey Simons and Veronica Del Rio. They do things like data requests, both external and internal. They do digital rostering for all the digital platforms that we have, all the administrative software, and they support, Veronica supports, and they support both the attendant secretaries and the work that they do and the huge lift that they've been doing over the last few years. The other little mini team is our amazing technicians who are out there doing the work every day. There are help desk, there are what we call our tier 2 support. They do projects, and we've really leveraged them a lot, provided some leadership opportunities for them to do more projects. We would be nowhere without our IMRT team. They are considered our on-site tier 1 support. They also support the California Library Standards in digital literacy. And then finally, we've got our TOSA and our administrative assistant. Our TOSA is really doing that on-the-job training for educators side by side with our educators. And our administrative assistant has been doing heroic work in trying to get the inventory back in order after COVID. It's kind of like putting feathers back in a pillow. It's really been tricky, but she's doing it and we're getting there. This team is keenly aware of our mission and works very hard to support everyone with a customer service lens. We have some current projects. I have my little caveat at the bottom there that this is not an exhaustive list. The network team is always working on upgrading our network operations center, which is here at the Ed Center. We're really trying to move away from reliance on equipment and move a lot of things to the cloud. I included that we have an current E-Ray project that's going on at Nicolaf North to improve their cabling on the north side. So that should be completed by summer. The information systems team is all about data right now. They're knee-deep in civil rights data. They're doing quarterly, or however often it happens, 4 times a year, I believe, 3 times a year, 4 times a year, CalPADS reporting, which is how we get our money. And then they've just got, they do a lot of data requests right now. And so this is a really peak time for them. Our technicians, like I said, they're doing that day-to-day work, but they're also doing projects. And here's some of the projects they're working on: updating our power supplies. Red Herring is a phishing simulation, so don't click on that email. So they're doing some work around that. Staff laptop refresh. One of our technicians was heavily involved with that. So IMRTs, you know, they're the on-site. They're doing digital literacy lessons. They're doing any on-site troubleshooting. And then right now our TOSA is really working on videos with kids and digital portfolios. Our admin assistant is learning a little bit more about data visualization. And we're together kind of working on a document retention project that we're trying to get some leverage with. So I wanted to highlight the work of the TOSA. I included the link to her website here because it's an internal site, so you have to be logged into Google to access it. But I wanted to highlight the work that she is doing Both the current TOSA and the previous TOSA were doing work that was really taking the vision that I have and supporting educators and giving the students the opportunity to create. Our current TOSA's work is really around building portfolios, and which gives kids a way to really connect with their learning by setting goals and being able to reflect on their growth. The video making that she's doing allows kids to tell their story their way, and it's really fun to watch. There's some really cute examples on her website, so I hope you get a chance to check that out. All right, current challenges. Like everybody in the world, there's not enough time to get it all done. Professional development is a challenge for a couple of reasons. First of all, how do we prepare our students, but really how do we prepare our educators and all staff? You know, everything we do right now is digital. Everything is, you know, a program or an app or something. And so how do we get that time to prepare everybody to move forward? And then I think for our department specifically, it's how do we keep up to speed on these emerging technologies? I will say another challenge is really the demand on our department has really, I want to say, tripled. The need for cybersecurity monitoring, knowledge, and training over the last 4 years has, I mean, just blown up because we are constantly monitoring daily messages that we get, alerts that we get. There is a set of knowledge that the team has had to build around this. And there's not a lot of training for this. So they're building their knowledge kind of on the fly. We have increased the requests for digital content rostering and for data requests. And I would say right now it's incredibly busy with the amount of requests we're getting both from inside our district, from our departments, and we share a lot of data with Sweetwater. We are sharing data with the county. So there's a lot of data transfer that's happening, and that demand has really increased. And then, we love this part, but there has been a big increase in collaboration with other departments and sites. And so we've got a lot of different projects happening all over the place. And it goes back to time and making sure that we can do that all well. Just to show you a little bit of example. So in 2019, we were not 1-to-1 in TK to 2. We had a handful of iPads there. Only certificated management and office classified had devices. We didn't really have any cybersecurity measures in place. We had a 4-digit password that people had for a long time. And we had 6 to 8 digital content platforms. So we really have, I'm going to just throw this all up here. I'm not going to walk through everything, but you can kind of see the list. And that, like I said, that cybersecurity management daily has become a big thing. And really the learning around that and the efforts that we need to do to make sure that we're safe in our environment. And then again, we've got about 20 digital content platforms. And if there's a hiccup in the rostering, it takes some time to kind of dig through that, talk to the vendor. So there's that time lag that happens. And most vendors are set up to put kids and teachers that are rostered to that teacher in the system. But then there's all these other folks who kind of need access to that. Takes time to work because everyone works differently. In 2023, we had an assessment to identify some ways and give us some feedback about how to improve efficiency and check our staffing. Technology is always evolving, and the work of the individual in the department and the department has shifted and grown over the last few years. These are a few of the recommendations. I just wanted to highlight the first one. I think technology, because it's ever evolving, one of the recommendations was to really look and see if we're staffed correctly for the work that's out there now, and the expertise that we need to have to be able to put some of these systems in place. As always, we have some, we're not sitting still ever. We have some future initiatives as Assistant Superintendent Reichert Montiel talked about. We're looking at a Chromebook refresh, which we have a budget line item to do that every year. But really, I wanted to highlight the scope and sequence. One of the things that I'm working on with our TOSA and with a coordinator in the Ed Services Department is a scope and sequence with technology aligned to the content standards. And really, that's not meant to be a separate thing. It's meant to sort of attach to any work that they're doing with scope and sequences in the other content areas. So we're really focused on literacy right now and how technology can show up in literacy and to complement that. So our team is working hard to serve all of our educational partners in a timely and efficient way. Success to us is about good communication, strong team dynamics, and with a growth mindset, we are empowering staff and students to be critical users of technology. I'm happy to address any questions.
Thank you so much for coming this evening and giving us this detailed report. I'm an employee, a retired employee, way back when there was no computer. And then when we had the basic 4 computer, we had to know how to program it and the HTML, which I got no training for. Okay. So I had to teach myself all that in order to generate those reports that you're talking about now. Okay. So, we've come a long way. This district has come a long way in technology, it's just way up there. So, I appreciate the work and the foresight that you have in your leadership and where the district needs to go. So I thank you. Open it up to the board, trustees.
I'm especially excited about the scope and sequence aligned with our standards and literacy, because I've been kind of asking about that and touching on that. So I'm glad to hear that there's that collaboration and it's all happening. And thank you so much for the detailed report.
Thank you.
I remember way back when, wasn't these new computers and things supposed to make our life easier?
Oh yeah, it's just, it's
Like,
magic.
this is not showing that. This is showing
It's coming. It's the
a
next one.
whole lot of work. Thank you for
Thank you.
doing it and your crew.
Thanks. All right. Thank you very much.
Moving on to item D, this is not an action item, but a presentation. I'd like to recognize Director Flores for a report on the recent activities of the District English Language and English Learner Advisory Committee. Welcome.
Good evening, President Quiñones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, Executive Board, and community. I'm so excited to be here tonight to highlight one of the many bright spots that we have here within our district, and that's our SBUSD DLAC. DLAC represents far more than just a committee of parents that comes together. It serves as the heartbeat of our multilingual learner students and their loved ones. It's an epicenter and the foundation to amplification of voice and perspective. Because we recognize the significance of this partnership, it's imperative that we reimagine and we rethink the way the structures and lack thereof that exist with DLAC. So we want to ensure that when our DLAC members come together, that they don't just receive information, that yes, they feel supported, but most importantly, that they leave feeling empowered. One of the avenues that we are grounded in is just this idea of conocimiento. Conocimiento means building relationship and community, and that shouldn't be any different in DLAC. Our families walk right past one another when they drop off their children at schools. They might have children in different schools. They need to know who they are, because it takes everyone to raise every single student that comes through our South Bay Union School District. Takes all of us. We're working together to ensure that all of our students are supported and that we strategize in ways that benefit our students. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Coordinator Robles, who's going to share some updates about DLAC.
Good evening to everyone present. And again, I want to welcome our parents who are here, and I will present who they are in a bit. So in September, we did have our first DLAC meeting. It was here at Burris, where Imperial Beach Charter School did do highlights for their school. And so really this was our first meeting kickoff of the year. And we really centered around our why. We had introductions, and we each shared our purpose and the why, and really our desires for DLAC as a committee. And so as we think about how we are going to make changes to our DLAC meetings, we really want to focus around building space where we have that time to connect with each other. So that's going to be a really huge part. As Director Flores mentioned, relationships are key. So we want our families present to really feel connected and belonging. And so we start our meetings with the connection. And then another important point is to educate. So we want to educate our parents in DLAC regarding our EL master plan and our EL roadmap. And so with that comes legality of what is currently happening in our district regarding our English learners. And then again, we want to take action. So we inquire about their needs and collect feedback so that our next meetings are just not an agenda that is created by us, but by a collective unit. So that was our September meeting, just going over DLAC roles and responsibilities and our why for the year. In November, DLAC was held at Mendoza Elementary. And as you see in the pictures, we had more parents come and be part of this meeting. Director Paula Flores led everyone present in a community input circle. And it was an open discussion regarding their needs, wants, and desires for the year. And so we noted their voices were heard. We analyzed their input. And what really came out of this meeting is that they really, truly desire to have meetings multiple, not just a one time during the day in the mornings, but meetings in the evenings where more parents could come and engage. And then another one was also resources. How do they, what resources can we give them so that they're able to support their children at home as English learners? And so we really put that together so that we don't just want to, hear, but we want to act upon the needs of our parents. And so we also, the educating part during that meeting was truly talking about reclassification, because reclassification window had opened, and we were collecting recommendations from our teachers, as well from our partners in the educational setting. And so that was key to educate them regarding annual notifications that we're receiving, understanding that process of reclassification, and then answering any questions that they had. And then this January, which was our this previous meeting, as you see here, we held elections for our DLAC officers. And in this meeting, we had a connection, as you see parents there engaged regarding their names. Director Paula Flores shared an excerpt from a book, Me Llamo Maria Isabela, and we shared our experiences regarding the importance of our name with each other. And so it brought some tears to some parents, because we've all had different experiences in the educational setting where our names might have been mispronounced, or we might have been called something that we didn't want. And so that was a good connection to kind of build that, continued relationships. And so here at this meeting, we also informed our parents regarding our district mission, vision, and values. So we were able to share that in Spanish to our parents and give them a little bit of the historical context of how that came about. And so that was our main, and then our elections. And of course, because LPAC window did open February 1st, we wanted to inform parents regarding the LPAC test. and what their students would be, tested on. And so a short video was shared to share that information with parents. So here are just some more, pictures. We had a full house, which really made us happy. That is really our goal this year, is to really recruit and engage our parents so that as we educate them, they feel empowered and a sense of belonging and attract other parents with them. So now the best part of tonight, they're troopers. They waited for this long. Thank you so much. So I'm going to present them. We have our president, Señora Karina Perez Loya. Levante la mano. We have our vice president, Señora Ana Gomez Duran. We have our co-vice president, Señora Nicole Aguirre. And then we have our secretary, Michelle Sanchez. So again, we feel very thrilled that they came to one meeting. They felt empowered. Paola and I feel their passion. We share that passion with them, and so we're happy to partner up and see the great work that's going to happen. And hopefully we have to open up like 2 rooms or maybe move into an auditorium. So I'm going to open it up now for our parents to share some of their experiences. And then I'm going to have Ms. Gabriela Martinez translate.
Hola, muy buenas noches. Mi nombre es Ana Gómez. Soy parte del comité DILAC. Tengo 3 hijos, cada uno en niveles académicos diferentes. High School, Mar Vista High School, Middle School, en Elementary. Y esa es una de las razones que me motivó a ser parte del comité DILAC. Porque
buenas noches, mi nombre es Nicole. Soy parte.
Oh. Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Hi, my name is Nicole. Anna. I'm part of the committee, DLAC committee. I have 3 children in the school district.
Nada más les pido si dicen frases cortas para que ella pueda traducirlas correctamente, por favor.
Sí, gracias. He visto muchas necesidades en las escuelas y es por eso que decidí ser parte del grupo, del equipo, para trabajar.
I see there's a lot of needs in the schools, and that's why I decided to be part of the group.
Porque he visto muchas necesidades, pero también veo que hay mucha falta de apoyo de los padres de familia.
I see that there's a lot of needs in the schools, but I also see that the schools need a lot of support from the parents.
Y quiero poner mi granito de arena para aportar ideas nuevas y trabajar en equipo.
And I want to put my grain of sand and ideas that I have to be part of this group.
Y lograr que se cubran las necesidades que tienen nuestros hijos en las diferentes escuelas del distrito. Gracias.
And I want to make a difference for all the schools and with this group also.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michelle Sanchez, and I'm here because, first of all, I don't know anything about education. My first daughter is in TK now. So all of this DLAC, ELAC, I had no idea what it was. But I think it was Miss Coco who reached out to me about it. And when I went to the first meeting with Brenda, I believe, Paul, maybe you were not there. I wanted to see, well, what can I do? Me as a parent, how can I contribute? What's out there? Like if I'm interested in helping my child and other children in this area, which has a lot of needs, what's out there apart from just getting information? What can I do as a parent for my voice to be heard and help with the school and other schools around us? So that's my going here with collaboration. I see a lot of passion in this moment here. So yeah, look forward to working all together. Thank you.
Hi, good night. My name is Nicola Aguirre. I have two kids in the school district, one in VIP Village and the other one in Emory. And of course, I really feel inspired by helping and be part of DLAC because it's my English is my second language, and they speak full English, but I feel inspired to, they participate, one of them participate in DLAC. So for me, it's part of being like a, advocate for my kids, their special kids needs in regular education. But for me, be involved and be part of what they need and how and participate in and collaborate how we can work to help like special kids. They're part of DLAC. It's one of my passions right now because I know in the future it's going to help my kids and other kids, and also to help other parents to know what is DLAC, because I don't want the experience of what happened to me. I just knew one day that my daughter was took away to be part of the program. And I know the schools are giving this information, but I probably we can work to do something else so parents really know what is this about and participate more. And of course, to get more programs for parents to speak more fluent English. Thank you.
Buenas noches, Presidenta Quiñones, Superintendente Espinosa, mesa directiva y directores y padres que nos acompañan en esta noche.
Good evening, Board of Directors, Mr. Espinosa, and parents that are present.
Hace 7 meses jamás me imaginaría que iba a tener la oportunidad de expresar mis inquietudes, porque para empezar no vivía aquí en Imperial Beach.
7 months ago, I never thought of the opportunity to be in the, to express my thoughts and needs for the schools and not being a resident of Imperial Beach.
Y al igual que mi hijo, llegamos a San Diego, siendo que somos de Tijuana, frontera. Y él, sin hablar inglés, al igual que yo, fue mi principal preocupación y miedo de mi niño al momento de sacarlo de un país y llegar a un país nuevo, que no es de él, con qué se iba a enfrentar.
With coming from a state and not speaking English, me and my son coming here, we didn't know what we were going to face.
Es por eso que fue lo que me llevó a llegar aquí con ustedes, ya que en su escuela, aunque existen los programas como ELAC o DLAC, no hay tanta información. Sí existen los canales de comunicación, pero no hay tanta la canalización de los padres nuevos que llegan al plantel. Lo digo porque me pasó a mí.
With coming to here without speaking English and the connections with the parents and having the DLAC program, I'm glad to be given the opportunity.
Cuando pregunté qué programa iba a llevar mi hijo,
When I asked what program my son was going to be given,
me comentaron de que le iban a hacer una evaluación a él para su nivel de inglés y poco a poquito iban a estar apoyándolo dentro del aula.
and I was told my son was gonna get evaluated, and little by little, they were gonna see how far he was gonna learn.
Pero es algo que no me consta. Entonces me llegó una carta a mi domicilio donde venía un número que fue el número de la oficina de Paula.
And I wasn't in agreement. I received a letter and that's where a telephone number was on the letter of Miss Paola and that's who I contacted.
Y ahí noté de que realmente la necesidad de la gente que no habla inglés, que necesite apoyo dentro de la escuela principalmente.
And that's where I realized all the needs that are needed, especially in the school.
Cuando llegué con Paola, le externé que a mí nadie se acercó y me preocupé por mi hijo, pero no todos los padres tenemos la misma disposición que yo.
And when I spoke with Miss Paola, I realized all the needs that we all don't have the opportunity, and no one approached me.
No todos los padres porque no todos los padres tenemos la posibilidad
Not all the parents have the opportunity to
de estar atentos de nuestros hijos,
to be attentive to our children.
porque o los alimentamos o estamos con ellos porque papá y mamá tienen que trabajar.
Because we're not there to raise them and parents have to work.
Esa fue la principal razón por la que acepté formar parte del comité,
That's part of the reason I decided to be part of the committee.
porque siendo Imperial Beach con un 50% de estudiantes que no hablan inglés, creo que es un foco que tenemos que ponerle bastante atención.
And being part of Imperial Beach and a percentage of the children that do not speak English, we need to pay attention to that.
También tenemos otra vertiente, otra oportunidad. Una cosa es que el niño no habla inglés, pero resulta que los papás tampoco hablan inglés y también tenemos que poner atención en eso.
And there's a result that there's children that don't speak English and also that parents don't speak English.
Llega el momento de evaluación del niño y cómo es posible que un niño sea que esté traduciendo a la maestra a su mamá.
And when it comes to letters, evaluations, how is it possible that the child has to translate to the parent?
Entonces, mi principal objetivo es, igual que todas mis compañeras, apasionarme con el tema. Hay bastante terreno ganado, no todo está perdido para trabajar en todas las cosas que tenemos que mejorar.
The main principle, it's I want
Mejorar todos los puntos.
I want to make sure that everything, all the points are addressed
de las escuelas de aquí de este estado.
of all the schools here in the district.
Y poder ser un ejemplo modelo de lo que es DILAC en otros distritos de todo San Diego.
And be an example of what is DLAC to all the other school districts.
Lo digo desde mi necesidad, principalmente por mi hijo, pero también por los demás niños que están pasando por la misma o peor necesidad. Porque realmente un niño que no habla inglés se siente perdido al momento que pisa una escuela.
And I say it with the necessity of myself, for my child and all the other children of the school, because when children step in the school, they feel lost.
Y por último, se me informó que el niño lo van a evaluar porque ya pasó un tiempo.
And I was informed that my child was going to be evaluated and time has passed already.
Para ver
since-
si ya dominó el inglés o cómo va con su para ver en su nivel de inglés.
to see what level of English he's at.
Y aunque existe pégate aquí conmigo, aunque existe el programa supuestamente dentro del aula,
Even if the English exists in the classroom,
mi pregunta, ¿quién es evalúa al docente que esté ejecutando bien las estrategias didácticas para el que el niño aprenda inglés?
what strategies are given for the child to speak English?
Evaluación al maestro.
who's evaluating the teachers so the child can get the proper lessons?
Ya que veo que puede haber o justificarse con fotografías y trabajo, pero realmente, ¿quién lo evalúa?
And what can justify with pictures and who to the children and who is evaluating the teacher?
Lo digo con justa razón, el niño tiene un desarrollo psicosocial porque al momento que llega a un ambiente que no es el suyo, se adapta y crece por naturaleza. El niño que llega a cualquier contexto o ambiente distinto, por desarrollo psicosocial, se desarrolla. Obviamente su puntaje va a ser alto. Creo que debemos también evaluar al docente dentro del aula.
A student by nature that goes in the classroom,
Cualquier niño en un ambiente desconocido se adapta y tiene por desarrollo psicosocial.
whichever child that steps in the classroom will adapt
En su ambiente en inglés lo va
with
adoptando
his
por
environment
naturaleza.
and he's adapting naturally.
Lo único quiero. ¿Sí? ¿Sigue? Lo único quiero es de que realmente exista que realmente se ejecute y creo que por eso DILAC está, para realmente asegurarnos que se ejecute el programa y se utilicen bien los recursos para todos estos niños que realmente lo necesitan.
The purpose of DLAG is to ensure that the supports for teachers so that instructional strategies are being implemented so that students can progress in their language development. That's the purpose of DLAG, to ensure that all of that support is happening so our students are successful.
Es todo por mi parte y muchas gracias.
It's all for now. Thank you. All right. In the horizons, Ms. Robles did share that some of the feedback that we received from not only our officers, but our parents was different ways of participating in meetings. So something that we're going to try out starting March 5th is having evening meetings. See what kind of parent engagement we receive. I'm currently working with the director of technology to see if we can even stream it, just like our board meetings. So we're working on that, seeing costs, but those are some options that are in the horizon for now. And with that, any questions?
Well, thank you for coming this evening and presenting to the trustees and of course myself. It's very enlightening that you have brought the parents with you this time. So thank you very much. It's important to see them and hear them and know their name. So, and the story. So I learned a lot just by listening to them tonight, and how important the DLAC is and the ELAC, and how far you're reaching that strength in building that parent connection.
Mhm.
So thank you so much. I'm going to open it up to the board. Vice President Medina, because this is her wheelhouse. Go.
I have a lot of questions for you. You already answered some of them throughout
Perfect.
your presentation, but I'm
Mhm.
still gonna ask them.
Okay.
For all the viewers that we have that they didn't get a chance to listen to that information. Can you tell me what is the purpose of the DLAC meeting?
The purpose of the DLAC meeting is to come together and ensure that we discuss, engage in conversations about the supports for our multilingual learners and talk about how they're making progress or not, and adjust and make sure that we provide supports to all of our teachers and all of the staff at our sites, our principals, ourselves included, to ensure that they're making academic progress.
Okay. How is it working? How many parents are attending? At what time are the meetings being provided?
So our first meeting, we only had maybe a couple of parents. The second meeting at Mendoza, we had 5. Then we increased in the third meeting by 40%, and we had 12 parents present. So slowly but surely, we're working on bringing more parents. And the meeting is at 8:30 in the morning. But with parent input, as I shared on March 5th, we're going to launch our first evening meeting. So
Okay.
at 6 is the time that was suggested.
And how is the DLAC information being provided for parents?
So there are multiple ways that we communicate. However, if we're communicating and our families are not receiving the communication, then we're not communicating, right? So what I started to do, which I used to do as a principal, was tweet the DLAC information. I share that also with our principals, and they've also been very proactive in retweeting the information. They also, when we went to Bayside, they had banners and posters everywhere advertising DLAC. So it is my hope that we continue to see that at all the school sites. And then our principals also use S'mores as a means of communication to vet out information about their ELAC and also about DLAC.
Okay.
And also we have our website. So check it out whenever you get a chance. We are building our website, making sure it's robust, filled with information and communication for our families who are sitting somewhere and decide to scroll. They can visit our website for information.
Okay, so you already told me that the responsibility it's also throughout with the principals providing that information to parents as well. So that was another question. Whose responsibility is to provide the DLAC meeting information, when and where the time meeting will be taking place?
So they're at 8:30 and they happen at the different sites. So the next site is, I believe, Emory. Is that correct, Ms. Robles? Yes, is at Emory. So we rotate through each site. Currently it's at 8:30, but once again, we're going to offer an evening meeting on March 5th.
So you have asked parents for a convenient time for them so you could get more parents involved? Okay.
Correct. So when you saw the November meeting, we were in a community circle, like, how do we restructure? What do you need? What do you want DLAC to be? It's not about my ideas. It's about what works for the community. And the only way a lot of our principals talked about street data and voice. We have to elicit input, but just not listening, putting words into play.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
A ver si puedo. Simplemente puesto, muchísimas gracias por la pasión que traen ustedes por la parte de sus propios niños y los demás. Gracias.
That was what I was going to say. No, thank you so much for sharing your passion for your for your children, and for everybody else's children in our community, for finding your niche and reaching out to inspire others to grow and participate and help all of our students. Thank you so much.
This is really hard work. And I want to acknowledge your team and your commitment to parents and raising them up. My mom was an Italian speaker, and there was no support for her or my grandparents. It was, English only, and we lost our family language. So it's real important for me that we keep that home language alive and for generations to come, and parents feel welcome in speaking their native language at all times. So I appreciate your advocacy, and thank you for participating at the district level as well as your home schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, equipo DLAC. And board members, there are a lot of really good things happening in our district, and I would like to invite at least or only 2 of you, no more than 2 of you, to attend one of our DLAC meetings and see what's going on for yourself. We'll make sure that those meetings get onto your calendars.
Thank you, Superintendent. We're going to move right into item E, VIP Village Preschool Update. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Is this on? Yes. Good evening, President Quinones, trustees, Superintendent Espinosa, Executive Board, colleagues, and audience. I am Michelle Syverson, the Director of VIP Village. Okay, there we go. I'm going to share a little bit of background since I've started at VIP and learned a few things here. VIP was established in the 1990s, starting out with 2 classrooms. Shortly after, it expanded to 21 classroom trailers. In 2019, with the support of our community, our board, and district, our campus was rebuilt with 21 beautiful classrooms for students to thrive in socially, emotionally, and academically. Currently, we offer 3 programs at our campus. We have CSPP, which is California State Preschool Program. We have Head Start, special education for our mild, moderate, and mod severe preschoolers. And we also house a TK classroom for Oneonta, that is mild, moderate. Oops, sorry, jumping ahead. So I would like to share a little bit about Quality Preschool as well as the CDE Master Plan and the American Plan. So VIP actively participates in San Diego Quality Preschool Initiative, which is called SDQPI. It is supported by the First Five and the County Office of Education. SDQPI is a measurable qualitative improvement system that provides support to early learning and care providers working with children from birth to 5 in a variety of settings. I work with my SDQPI coach monthly. We set goals for VIP Village to maintain the highest quality for our students, families, and staff. The CDE Master Plan, this was shared in December of 2020. It is to be in full implementation by 2030. It is a framework with a vision that all California children thrive physically, emotionally, and educationally in the early years through access to high quality learning and care sources. So this, again, full implementation by 2030. And you can see some of those implementations right now with TK. It is a universal TK for all students. Eventually, they're looking at having that for 3-year-olds to have full access to all 3-year-olds across the state of California. Additionally, in April of 2021, the America's Family Plan committed to investing in early childhood to post-secondary education so that all children and young people are able to grow, learn, and gain the skills they need to succeed. It is established to provide universal, high-quality preschool to all 3- and 4-year-olds. So the next one kind of hits us hard, and we're seeing it across the district. This is our enrollment history at VIP, and we are on a decline across the board. What's interesting is prior to 2020, our COVID year, we were averaging 25 students per year, per year of decline. And once COVID hit, that spiked us to 35 students. So we're taking a good hit at preschool too. Our next slide is who are our students. So currently we're pretty much 50-50 with 3- and 4-year-olds, even with TK implementation. You'll see on the color chart that our blue are our 3-year-olds, red is our 4-year-olds. And although it's higher in CSPP for our 4-year-olds, it pretty much matches out with 170 to 176 students. And this is including our Nikolov campus as well. So the one thing that I'd like you to consider, it's going to work, there we go, is to expand our preschool program to provide opportunities for families who make above the income cap to pay a fee to attend preschool. Right now, the way it's said is we have to qualify, and we have A through F qualifications. Within the A through F, there's anywhere from 3 to 6 additional qualifiers. So think about 24, give or take, items that we try to qualify families for. If they don't meet that, we can put them on a list, and if they somehow come through and meet within it, then we can add them to our list to come join the preschool. However, we have a good chunk of families that can't. I'll give an example. My sister-in-law is one of them. She was just a little bit too high of the income. She could not come to us, and she had to pay elsewhere. I would like us to have that opportunity to open it up to our families to say, if you don't qualify X, Y, and Z, then we could offer a possible pay program for you to come to preschool with VIP. Okay. The impacts. Children who attend high-quality early learning childhood education programs have increased levels in school readiness, are more likely to graduate from high school, have stable relationships with their teachers and caregivers. The long-term benefits that are with our students that are in for 2 or more years, we've seen increase for our dual language learners, our children experiencing poverty, and reducing grade level retention over the years. Some of our implications: in California preschool, there was a study done, and it had shown that only 1 in 3 children under the age of 5 who are eligible participate in California publicly funded early learning and care programs. Why only a third? And I'm sure it's for varied reasons. I will share my story. I grew up here in IB. As a young mom 31 years ago, I had a 4-year-old and I had no idea that there was a preschool open for him. And luckily, I had a friend who worked for the preschool, came over and said, "Hey, you need to get him over here." And we were able to do that. So I was a benefit for with my child with VIP preschool while Katie was there. So the one thing that I will say for us as a site, and I am committed to doing this, is making sure that we have clear communication to our families and our community members that we offer preschool and what are the qualifications for preschool. And then for those that do not qualify for preschool, to provide an opportunity for them to attend preschool for CSPP, the California State Preschool, with a pay option for our community. Okay. So I am recommending, or I'd like to recommend, the opportunity to expand our preschool program to provide opportunities for families who make above the income cap and do not meet the state A through F requirements to pay a fee for preschool and stay within the community, ultimately providing equitable preschool options for all community members. Thank you. Questions? And I
Well,
hope I
thank
have
you-
your answers.
Thank you so much for coming this evening and giving us an update. The current considerations, of course, this is just a presentation, not an action item, but we do appreciate the question. And the history behind VIP, we looked at this many years ago. And if you're just above the threshold, you didn't qualify. You know, it's just like free and reduced lunches. You know, I didn't make a lot of money, but I was over the curve, so it was like full price. So, but anyways, are there resources out there that will help parents qualify? I mean, not qualify, but pay for?
So I'm not sure on the pay for part, but today I did meet with our state representative and I did ask, how can I help benefit our community? And the one thing that, because our families are listed as free and reduced lunch and we are attached to as an LEA, that helps us with expanding that piece. So as for helping them pay for it, I'd have to do a little more digging on that lens, but I will definitely do that.
I would, so just in the pay for part, I would like to just remind the board that maybe a year and a half ago, I can't remember when it was, but early on, we had talked about a parcel tax. And the vision at that time was really to open up preschool for all of the residents in our area. And we had talked about possibly doing the parcel tax to support that. So there are ways of doing that. Obviously, we really have to think out of the box. We really have to look at a parcel tax is really thinking out of the box, right? Because at the end of the day, we know that if we increase participation in preschool, it's going to increase the readiness of our students that are coming to us. With our academic performance in our district currently, because we're going to get better, that would help a lot. The more we increase access for preschool for our families, the better that our students are going to do academically in the long run.
That makes me think a little bit more, because I was thinking, oh, just provide a sliding scale, but yeah, we can't do that, can we?
There's a lot of working parts to it.
Yeah.
So I would say until we can exhaust what I receive from our state representative, I would say we need to do some more, I need to do some more investigating for our department.
So how many hoops that are on fire do you think that there are?
My best hope is that the state says we're doing preschool for all starting next year with our 3-year-olds, since we have 4-year-olds already in the mix, and that would solve a lot of the issues.
Right now, it's only
So,
TK, right?
It's only TK.
Yeah, okay.
And we have till 2030 to have full implementation.
Would that include like a longer day for the 3-year-olds? I mean, I know for me, like both of my girls went to VIP. We love it. Amazing. And we actually got to be at all campuses, the old campus, the West campus, and then the new campus eventually. But I'm thinking that for some families, only it being available for 4 hours a day, right? Or 3.5 hours a day, that's very challenging. So maybe if
there are preschools in the area that families have the option to either do partial day, 3.5 hours, all the way up to 9 hours, which is a really long day for a 3 and 4-year-old. But they do span in between there, and the cost changes based on how much time you are on the campus.
Right. I was a preschool teacher as well, and we were open 6 to 6, and there was I think like a 10-hour limit. That was the limit.
Yeah.
And it was so hard to watch those little ones be away from their families so long. But I mean, just having an expanded time, not all day.
We do have one full day class on campus. He is a mix of Head Start and preschool or CSPP. So it's a full day, but a mixed portion, and the children stay with him the entire day. The
Nice.
rest of our classes are half day.
And my girls were both with Miss Louisa and Miss Robin. And so that's the inclusion program where they got to be in a classroom with children with special needs and just play and have fun together like kids should. And it was a wonderful experience.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Great update. Thank you. Moving on to business services, item F, the department update, maintenance, operations and facilities.
Let's go.
Recognize Director Franco for an update on maintenance, operations and facility department. Welcome.
All right. Good evening, President Quinones, Board of Trustees, Superintendent Espinoza, colleagues and community. I'm just here to give a presentation on our department, which is the maintenance, operation and facilities team. And we kind of are a young team because most of our team players there have less than 3 years of experience in our position, including myself. I've been here for 27, but in that position. So I think they're doing an outstanding job. They're pushing through. So here we go. For our team leaders, I have myself as Director, Maintenance, Operations and Facilities. I have Raul Reynaga, Maintenance Custodial Supervisor, Ernesto Ramirez, Maintenance Lead, Efren Murillo, Landscape Lead, Jason Sanchez, Custodial Lead. Sorry, bear with me. The rest of the team, as I mentioned, roughly we're about 3. There's only 3 employees that have more than 6 years experience in our department. But we have 1 admin assistant, 1 refrigerant mechanic. We just hired on 1 assistant to the HVAC technician, which is the mechanic, 5 landscapers, 1 irrigation specialist, 3 custodians. And when I mean 3 custodians, that means the ones that are really under us, but technically all the school sites obviously have a day, a night, and sometimes 2, depending on the size of the school site. 4 senior tradesmen, 3 tradesmen, and 1 MOF driver. So this team takes care of and oversees, sorry about that. You know what? Clicking. What the, oh, you're right. Got it. Thank you, ma'am. Teamwork. So 9 TK through sixth grade elementary schools, 2 TK eighth charter schools, VIP Village, a preschool, Friendship, ELOP, which is combined on one campus, and 3 departments. So all these areas consist of, these are all the areas that the team, including the custodians, maintain, which is 137.6 acres of land, permanent buildings, 599,930 square feet of permanent buildings, portables, which are also considered permanent buildings, are 92,640 square feet. Cleaning space for our custodians is 692,570 square feet. Storage, even though it's just storage, we still got to maintain it. Roofs, painting, and all that good stuff is 30,050 square feet. Walkways is 158,697 square feet. Here are just some examples that of the work that we did. Mind you, we do this all in 6 weeks, so it's kind of crunched. We don't have a traditional summer as we used to. So at Pence, we replaced awning, fenced area at southeast corner of the swell. R1 and R2 were converted into office space. I mean, I'm just going to go briefly through some of these sections so you guys can get an idea. New awnings at Nikolov, which is the north and the south, trim trees, overlay asphalt and kinder playground. Sunny Slope asphalt repair kinder playground, paint interior of MPR, tent the site for termites, playground equipment replacement. Mendoza, we had kinder water filling stations installed. Asphalt, the parking lot behind the kitchen. Nestor, that was a big project. Re-roof, 19 portables. Barry sealed all the asphalt, paint the exterior of the school. Replaced the fence in the west parking lot. Replaced gravel per stormwater management. Exterior of the break was sealed as well. And I haven't mentioned a lot of these projects, but some of them, I mean, it's just constant work. And our facilities are a little bit on the old side, so, you know, but they're classics. We like that. We gotta, you know, hey, I have an old car, so I consider that a classic. So continuing some of these projects, you know, warehouse, we verify the condensers to the freezers have been properly installed. I mean, Anna took care of that, so that was a good thing, but we still have to make sure that they did it right. So we have Oneonta installed storm water system, French drains, especially right now that we had this rain, they were tested and we were able to survive it. So same thing at VIP, we constructed a new ramp from VIP to Oneonta for the TK students to travel. So repair the cantina doors at the MPR. Bayside, completed room 8 flooring, installed concrete walkways. I mean, in Pura Beach, we painted the exterior of the school. So yeah, projects pending. That's something that we didn't get to finish, but thank you. I'm back. Pence, some of these rooms they're good size, but at Pence we converted R1 and R2 into a specialist. So basically, you can have a reading specialist or in this bigger area, put a wall, a door, and now we just save some room. So we're doing that at Pence for rooms 26, 23, converted at Nikolov R1, R2 as well. Sunny Slope, we're just about done with that field. Sod's coming in on the 21st of this month. Playground, we're receiving that playground for Mendoza. The toy structure, it'll be coming in on Wednesday. So that's a good thing. Nestor, we're working along with Jaime regarding the Amet building roof needs to be done. Barry as well, warehouse, overlay asphalt. So we have quite a bit of projects as it is pending. And Westview fencing for Friendship, replace roofs, scope of work for painting, repair windows, fire alarm upgrades. So it's quite a bit. So That was a fast one. There you go. MOF Team Services. Emergency prevention, emergency planning, training and drills, emergency communication, security measures, crisis response, storm watch, flooding, water contamination. Those are a lot of different things that we take care of. Safety, maintenance, evacuation, procedures, fire and medical equipment maintenance, collaboration with other services and departments, incident reports, vandalism, resource management, risk assessment, continuity of operations. So during the time when American Water was compromised, you know, the team along with other departments went, got water, got us going. We didn't even lose a day of work. So that's a good thing. That's a very good thing. Even Rigo and Susie went out and bought pallets. We just had to pick them up. So, all right. For stormwater management plan protocol, as you guys noticed, it's been raining crazy. So right now, make sure rain gutters are roof drains and storm drains are all clean and clear of debris. Pick up leaves, trash, other obstacles that can plug up drains prior to rain. Training is providing monthly with information sheets and presentations. We do this so we can make sure that we're up to par with what they ask us for. So what our team brings to the educational community landscape, our team strives to cultivate not just lawns, shrubs, but a relationship with our community, students, and staff. Custodial. Every day, our custodial team brings hygiene and cleanliness to our district, taking part in training to keep our sites above standard. Maintenance. Our maintenance team ensures that the safety of students and staff is a high priority for a learning environment. This portion of it's more on our facility side because it's just how we take care of most of the work that's done with contractors and that nature. So our team is responsible for implementing actions regarding the physical infrastructure and systems of a facility or campus are well maintained. Maintenance, planning and executing preventive maintenance programs, responding to repair requests, and ensuring the proper functioning of buildings and systems. Safety and compliance, implementing and overseeing safety protocols, ensuring compliance with building codes and regulations. Renovations and construction, planning and overseeing renovations, remodels, and new construction projects. Emergency response, developing and implementing emergency response plans. Sustainability, implementing environmentally friendly practices and overseeing initiative related to energy efficiency, waste reduction, and sustainable building practices. So this right here, Jason, our lead for, he usually takes care of this. So he's our go-to guy to put everything up on our website. So we also have that. Welcome to join it if you like. So at the end of our 6 weeks, we usually break bread, which means it's been kind of hard. So we bring everybody together, which is landscape maintenance custodians from all our school sites. And we just the facilities goes out and just has a barbecue. You know, anybody's welcome. Just break out our barbecue that we made and have a carne asada, you know, and call it a day. And that's pretty much the end of our summer. So, yep, and that's it. Any questions?
That's it?
That's it.
I was just gonna say the same thing. It won't even fit in a nutshell. We'll open up to trustees. Melanie?
Oh, yeah. I'm sitting here thinking, I wonder what color the cape should be. You guys are awesome. You're it's like, if I did this much work around my house, it would, it's amazing. Thank you.
Well, thank you guys
Oh.
for your support. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the upkeep and for anticipating needs instead of waiting for things to fall apart. But getting ahead of everything and keeping our staff and our kiddos safe. Thank you.
Our
We try.
vintage schools safe and looking good?
Well, I just have to share, again, appreciation that your team is so young and so are you. And so in coming into this new role, the district is fortunate that we have a director such as yourself that has 25 years or more in the district and have played many roles in your walk, in your journey to get where you are. So you know, it's like a helicopter view. Okay. So, you know, the hot spots, when the rains came, you know where to go. Our schools did not flood, and that is due to the teamwork of your team, all of them, and custodians as well at sites. It could have been devastating if we weren't prepared for all that rain. But thank you to the team, and I didn't know that you did paint schools. I didn't see a painter in here. So thank you to the painters. Okay. And the community has mentioned the paint of the schools and the grounds, the landscape, and how beautiful it looks. And so that's really important for our community, and especially people that are driving through, that see our schools that are maintained at a high level, and the expectation of the district that they look that way and always look that way. And we just don't go behind closed doors in the closet where we, you know, like that closet right there. So anyways, thank you so much. And please share with your team that the board has recognized you and your teamwork in a positive light, and hope that you come back and give another presentation soon. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
And I just wanted to add, you know, I think if Director Franco hasn't blocked me already, I think he's probably wondered why he hasn't blocked me. Even though he still has a assistant director position that he's been missing. We've been trying to get that position filled. And all that means is that Director Franco is usually on 24/7. That's exactly what that means. So I do want to recognize him. I want to recognize his team. You know, when you compare our district with some of the things that we've seen on the news regarding the impact that the storms have had, we haven't had those types of situations. And that has to do with the work that Director Franco and his team are doing. So I just want to say a very, very special thank you to him and his team. Keep up the good work, and we are trying to get you help. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're moving on to human resources, recognizing Executive Director Melissa Griffin, who will share a resolution regarding the elimination release of 13 certificated positions. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Good evening, President Quinones, Board of Trustees, and Superintendent Espinosa. Tonight, I am here asking for your adoption of Resolution 23022 regarding the elimination and release of 13 certificated positions and direction to notify the affected employees.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I will make that motion.
Thank you, Trustee Ellsworth. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Ellsworth, Liker,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1 with an absence.
Don't go anywhere. You're up again. Resolution 23-023. This is a resolution regarding the elimination and reduction of classified positions of custodian at IB Charter, supervision assistant IB Charter, coordinator of community volunteers and resources at Oneonta and Sunny Slope, instructional assistants Emory, Mendoza Central, behavior intervention assistant Emory, bilingual instructional assistants Sunny Slope. And so here we go. you. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
A second.
Any discussion?
So just to clarify, this is the site-based, like the sites have decided, have come to the conclusion that these positions were not needed or were not being filled already, and because of our declining enrollment don't need to be filled anymore?
Yes, these decisions are made at the site level through the site council process and or if it is a charter school through their LCAP process. And so we are here tonight as a recommendation from the school site based on their budgets and their needs at their school sites.
Thank you for clarifying.
Yes, and trustees, I did request the school site council minutes from Mendoza and Sunny Slope in regards to the instructional assistants. I'm a big advocate for instructional assistants in the classroom, so I wanted to read what the minutes said, and they were very enlightening. And especially Mendoza, because they had 6-hour aides, they're like 4, and they were eliminating 2 and reducing 2. So I wanted to understand what the school site council had to say about that, and why. And the why was they have done better in their test scores, so therefore the assistants in those instructional assistants, there is no more money. So it's a lack of funding for that. And Sunny Slope in particular, I read, and it was really a robust conversation in that meeting that I read, that and the committee is mostly made up of teachers, and teachers have emailed me, spoke to me, saw me in the grocery store. They want support in the classrooms, especially because our daily attendance has gone up and the classrooms are full. They want extra support, and that's what I kept telling them, to go to their school site council and advocate as a representative or to their representatives. And so therefore that discussion at Sunny Slope included that discussion of the why. And so as I was reading it, it was very detailed. And thank you so much, Superintendent, because it helped me to wrap my head around what was going on here. And so in that discussion, really quick, in that discussion, the principal outlaid her budget to the committee and said, if we keep and don't eliminate the instructional assistant, then we have to cut from another area, which impacts teachers, PD, whatever. And so through discussion and real quick, in discussion, they still had communication together and came to a resolution for just a reduction in hour. And so that's a team that works together, and a principal that certainly listened to her school site council in identifying a way to keep the instructional assistant. I just want to shout out to Mendoza and Sunny Slope for that important work in the school site council, and Pamela for showing the way a couple of years ago in development of that minutes and subject matter. So it was real helpful. So thank you. So on that note, we'll call for a vote if no more discussion.
Ellsworth, Liker,
Yes.
Medina,
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4-1 with an absence.
Okay, we're moving on to district fingerprinting services, and again, it's your night. This is
Thank
a
you.
presentation.
Tonight, I'm here and I'm very excited to be able to share an update on our district fingerprinting services. This is a process that we've been working on for approximately 1.5 years now. Sounds kind of crazy when I say that aloud, but the process to become a custodian of records is really long and very lengthy. With that being said, we submitted our application in order for us to be the custodian of records in 22. And from there, then we went through a process of trying to get clearance with our individuals that we are clearing as the rollers, or the fingerprint rollers is what they're referred to, in the HR department. So we go through a pretty lengthy process of making sure that all of us have the proper clearance in order for us to move on to the next phase. Once you move on to the next phase, meaning that you've been approved through the fingerprinting process, because we'll have a different level of clearance, we then are approved, and then we're provided with a list of different types of vendors that we would work with and choose from those vendors in order for us to get the machine itself. So now we are at that space. For in terms of the responsibilities, now that we have been able to purchase the equipment, we will serve as the primary contact for the Department of Justice. We're responsible for the security of all fingerprints in the district. So that means all of our volunteers. That also means any new employees or employees that are currently employed by us. So through the onboarding process, all the storage, any destruction of fingerprints. So there's a very highly confidential process, which is why it takes so long to become a roller yourself and be able to do that in-house versus sending our volunteers and or our new employees out of district. We can now do that internally. Biometrics for All is the vendor that we are currently using. We had to prepare once we were cleared and once we purchased the equipment. We collaborated with our technology department to make sure that all the equipment really was the right pathway to take. There's lots of different vendors, but based on our needs, biometrics really was the one that fit the needs the best. Then we needed to go through professional learning with biometrics on how to actually fingerprint and use the machine itself. And we are still in the beginning phases of that professional learning. So we're becoming more efficient at being able to successfully capture the fingerprint. It is quite challenging as you start working through this process. Something seems so simple, but you really do need to get it just right in order for you to get a clean read. So we're still in some of the professional learning that's required and practicing to ensure that we become more efficient at the process. As I said, this will allow us to do all of the fingerprinting within our district and the HR office. And we will no longer have to send anyone that we are newly onboarding out of district, and which will speed up our onboarding process quite a bit. In addition, all of our parent volunteers that we have out working in school sites and more to come, they can come fill out all their paperwork as they've been doing online, as well as in our office, and we can screen them directly while they're with us as they submit their applications. Currently, as of today, we have 532 active parent volunteers. We started managing this in HR about a year and a half ago. A lot of this was housed at the sites. And so we were trying to find a way to streamline the process in order for us to be able to deploy volunteers out to the school sites. And so we've been able to really work through that process in collaboration with our school sites to really work on upping the bank of volunteers. And so as of today, we're at 532 and we have lots that are in process, and I know that number will continue to grow. So we're very excited. When we think about parent engagement and making connections to the community, it's really important for that number to continue to increase and to have our families active and involved in our school sites in their child's educational experience. So that's definitely a celebration, and we're excited to bring this forward tonight as a highlight of some of the work that we're doing in HR.
Excellent, excellent. Any questions, trustees? Just a thought about what was shared tonight from the PTA about having high school students come and join the PTA at festivals or bingo night or and I know that we're in the beginning in professional development and all that, but can we put a little post-it note there in the parking lot that might think about how we can encourage and engage with our high school students to come and help PTA and be fingerprinted?
I can actually speak to that now. We've been in the process working with Director Bevilacqua for probably 6 or 7 months this school year of trying to get that established. But in order for us to establish that, we need an MOU with Sweetwater. Again, this would be in collaboration with student services because it's the student side, we're the staffing side. So that is something that we've been working on. That is not off the ground as of yet. And hopefully that in the future, that is something that we are able to do.
So much.
Thank you.
Been a long agenda, so let's move on to the consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar will be enacted in one motion in the form listed below. Prior to the approval of the meeting agenda, there was an opportunity to request placing a consent calendar item in the discussion actions section of the board meeting. There will be no discussion on these items prior to the board vote. The superintendent and or staff recommend approval and adoption, ratification, acceptance on all consent calendar items unless otherwise noted. May we have a motion?
I move to approve all items on the consent calendar as listed, including the superintendent's recommendations for denial or approval of leaves of absence.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. We'll call for the vote.
Ellsworth,
Yes.
Liker.
Yes.
Medina.
Yes.
Quinones.
Yes.
Motion passes 4 with 1 absence.
Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to item 10, future agenda items. At this time, a trustee may request one topic for a future board item. I'd like to recognize our superintendent, Jose Espinoza. And any future board items, please go ahead, Jenna.
I want to thank you for sharing the information requested by the board on last board meeting. After reviewing the reclassification numbers by school site that I requested, I would like a breakdown by grades. I would like to review what grades students are being mostly reclassified, and also wonder why only 4 school sites went up on reclassification and the rest went down. What kind of intervention are being provided to students to be reclassified? I know this information, you might not have it available on hand, but a Friday update, just like we did on last time, that would be great.
Thank you.
Any other future agenda items requests, Melanie? Your lights on.
Oh, I beg your
Kelly? No, none at that time. Okay, that'd be great if we got a Friday update. That would be great. Thank you, Janet. Thank you so much. So again, I'm going to recognize our superintendent who will provide next steps on the future agenda items, such as from January 18th. We have a few items there. Go ahead, Superintendent.
Thank you, President Quinones. The next 2 items, we did provide an update on our security residents in the Friday update. But both of these items were Trustee Likert, so I will let her talk about those a little bit if she'd like.
I appreciate the updates, and I don't have any further questions at the moment.
So are you going to speak about information and extended employees leaves and long-term substitutes? You're going to advocate for that?
It's been a very long day. We got here at 4:30. My apologies. Well, we had discussed more regarding providing something more consistent for our students when we have teachers who are out on leave of absence, and in our conversations, basically it's a legislative type of thing where we have rules in place, or we can only have so much time with substitutes who are not certificated, and so that got extended when during COVID from 30 days to 60 days. And so, I mean, I would love if we could figure out some creative way to at least like break it up 6 months to 6 months. But otherwise it seems like something at the state level that needs to be addressed.
And Trustee Liker and I discussed this a little bit. And there is a lot of advocacy going on at the state level. That's one of the reasons why it was moved back to 60 days after COVID. They had moved it back to 30, then they moved it back to 60. It partly is because of that advocacy. So we had a conversation around that. And we both are in agreement that is really the way to go, because that is those are guidelines that are provided by the state that we have to follow.
So are we good? Okay, thank you so much, Superintendent. Okay, moving on to communications from the Board of Trustees, 3 minutes each, but I'll take 1 minute if you have it, Melanie.
Back on. Let's see. Oh, I have a whole bunch today. I'm sorry. I know you all have been here since the crack of dawn, literally, huh? Thank you. As of January of this year, handwriting has to be back in the classroom. I just wanted to give okay. Let's see. I want to thank Pamela or whoever it was who put together the test score information that I was very distracted by last month. It came. Thank you for sending it out in a different format. I could understand it and I really appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. You and I, the superintendent, I went over to see at David Alvarez's invitation to the superintendents, and then I got to tag along. Asking us, oh God, you're gonna have to help me here. David's the head of the educational budget part of California's budget. So he was asking all the superintendents to give some feedback on a few questions that he had and offer up, our interests also. So that was interesting. We came right after San Diego. Yeah. So he kind of got this kind of information and then this kind of information. Let's see. Oh, I went to the CTA brunch. It was an invite to all of us. You were missed, Kelly. I mean, somebody mentioned you. And it was very interesting because when they have all these board members in the room, the CTA, the message it's very similar to our message. And it would be really nice if we just really worked together, get everybody in California asking for more money for education. Anyway, during that meeting, this woman comes up to me. Do you know who I am? Wasn't quite that way, but hi, kind of thing. I don't know. She was a board member from San Diego County. I don't know these people. Well, Dr. Pilar. I'm like, oh no. Wait. She does that to everybody because everybody knows Dr. Pilar who escaped. And her mother does this to people all the time. She has a really cool mom. So it's really nice. It was a good breakfast, a good brunch. It was a good gathering. So that's it. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you all for staying this late at night. I know you guys have been here longer than we have. Thank you for all the presentation and your time that you spend gathering all this information together for us. Thank you, Principal Michelle, for having me at Snow Day at BAP. It was amazing. I had a great time. I stayed for about 3 hours or more. Thank you very much. And thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you everyone for all the wonderful information and have a good night.
I'm looking for this card. Child Nutrition, please see me after the meeting. We had when we had our presentation from Child Nutrition Director, there was somebody online that watched. And through many hands, I got her card because she watched you. And so before the meeting, after the meeting, if you could pick that card up and just look at it and, do whatever. But she wanted me to share it with you. I also participated in the spelling bee here last week, and it was 6th grade and 7th grade. And 8th graders are too cool to do that. So it's the 6th and 8th graders. And I was invited to be a judge. So here I come. We sat over there and the secretary and I and the principal and the vice principal, we were all judges, but it was real interesting experience. It was about an hour and a half or so, but the sixth graders and seventh graders were sitting there and the kids, took the microphone and said their name, the name, the word, can you use it in a sentence? I didn't hear any origin, what origin, but it was a learning experience for me to, and these kids were really strong in their articulation and their requests. And so, but this one child would get up and the word was Brooklyn. And I have to show you this with you because there was a hush in the room. And so I was sitting there and I looked back because there was this like, oh, the kids, because the child stood up and said capital B, Brooklyn. Okay. It's like, they wouldn't have thought of that. Okay. And so as the competition went on, the next word that was capital A was Arabic. The room. So I just share that with you because this is the little things that matter. And the seventh grader Trevor did win the seventh grade, and there was a little girl, but I forget her name, Isa, that won the sixth grade. So they go on to the county. So that's pretty exciting. Let's see, we have an Oneonta visit coming up, as well as a meeting. Janet and I, the vice president and I will be meeting with the superintendent on that same day, the 14th, is it? 13th, whatever Wednesday is. Yeah. And developing our agenda for our working together session at the end of the month, just to give you a heads up. If you have any requests or anything that you'd like to see, please let the superintendent know. And that way, when we meet, we have that information as well. So I appreciate that. I'm really interested in the CAC development in our district. And I did read that email, and I didn't know how many seats that we had. So I've spoken with the superintendent, who assured me that he's going to be right on top of that. So thank you for the great agenda. It was long, but necessary, and it's 9:30. So without further ado, I'd like to adjourn this meeting if there's no other comments or discussion. Having none, we are adjourned. It's 9:30.